Chapter 45. Sun-Chasing Archer. Inheritance of the land of Bakey's best archer class background. The sun-chasing archer was obsessed with archery. He practiced hard for dozens of years, but he was still unable to achieve great success in archery even in his later years. In his old age, when the Een fire was about to extinguish, he happened to see the Golden Crow Emperor's silhouette passing by during the sunset. Looking at the true scorching sunfire that filled the sky, he had an epiphany and comprehended the sun-chasing aura from then on. His life level was sublimated and his lifespan was extended. His archery skills improved by leaps and bounds. In just 3 years, he became the best archer in Bakey. Class growth. Attribute enhancement increases by 50% with each level up. Special passive bonus, Eagle Eye, will be obtained. Additional energy bar, sun-chasing breath, will be obtained. Eagle Eye passive. Vision ability has been developed and can adjust the distance between the pupils. Sun-chasing breath, 100 energy. Each sun-chasing shot consumes 1 point of sun-chasing breath. The skill consumes additional energy, recovering 1 point every 3 seconds. Skills acquired. Sun-chasing scatter, sliding step, annihilation shooting sun, 5 points consumption, shoot 5 arrows with the shooting sun's breath at the same time, dealing AoE damage. Sliding step, 3 points consumption. Flexibly use the sun's chasing breath and place it under your feet, allowing you to quickly slide for a short distance. Can be used to dodge attacks, and can also be used to get close to your opponent. Annihilation loss, all remaining energy. Condense all the sun-chasing power in the body and forge a spirit chi arrow to launch a killing blow. No arrows are needed during the release of this skill. The second stage of this class will begin when the player reaches level 100 and completes the class advancement. You can consult the class mentor for details. Class weapon. Bow and arrow. The players watching the livestream were envious when they saw the sun-chasing archer's legacy interface. 666. 10 archery masters obtained the inheritance with their own abilities. I'm impressed. I'm envious, but I'm not jealous, because you guys obtained the inheritance with your own abilities. Even if you gave me this job, with my abilities, I definitely wouldn't be able to hit you. I'm convinced. This class really requires talent in archery to use. Normal people really can't do it. As for the 10 players who had obtained the legacy, the audience was basically convinced. After all, it was a result of one's own ability. It was different from luck, so the players all gave them their blessings. Yi Chen was overjoyed to have obtained 3 skills as soon as he completed his class advancement. Yi Chen was filled with pride when he thought about how he still had 30 minutes to experience the skill. He once again lifted the iron bow, took out a new quiver from the front, and knocked it on the string. After squinting his eyes and aiming for a while, he chose a fixed target 50 meters away and shot this arrow full of confidence. Do 0. The scoreboard in the distance reported the score. Ahem. My bad. Knowing that he was being broadcasted, Yi Chen smiled awkwardly and took out another arrow. However, Yi Chen could not laugh anymore. He had shot 5 arrows in a row, but none of them hit the target. Yi Chen was dumbfounded by the situation. With trembling hands, Yi Chen aimed at the target 100 meters away. His eagle eye ability was instantly activated, and he could clearly see the target in the distance. Yi Chen lifted the bow again and took a deep breath in. Subsequently, he released his hand that was pulling the bowstring slowly. Beep 0. Beep 0. Beep 0. Yi Chen, who refused to believe it, set his sights on the moving target 150 meters away and began shooting wildly. Beep 0. Beep 0. The consecutive 0 points made Yi Chen completely dumbfounded. The players who were watching Yi Chen's live stream were also dumbfounded. A mammoth. Isn't he number 1? This result. A scary guess suddenly appeared in my mind. Crayon_Shinchan. Random archery, hit the target when fate is right. I guess the person above is thinking so. Ye schwer is _cutest. I was wondering how my brother could shoot so accurately even though he had never learned archery. Now I know the reason. It's a suffocating truth. Strike _gold. Suffocating technique. Is this really the legendary random archery? Invincible _loneliness. Maybe he turned off the auto-aiming hack and showed his true strength. Watermelon _taro. So, is his account useless? Armed guard replied to watermelon _taro. Basically, useless, gold _saint. The atmosphere seems a little serious. Can I ask everyone, can I laugh now? Bronze _player replied to gold _saint. Ha ha ha, laugh first. At this moment, Yi Chen realized a very serious problem. Perhaps the previous 15 arrows were all hit by him in a daze. This guess instantly made Yi Chen's face extremely pale, and his eyes gradually became dull. After changing to an archer, the only weapon he could equip was a bow and arrow. Thinking of this, Yi Chen's bow-holding hand trembled even more. He tried to take out the blue greatsword from the channel. Game notification. You have changed to a sun-chasing archer. Your weapon is a bow and arrow. You cannot equip a greatsword. Oh my god, can I switch back to a berserker? Yi Chen squatted on the ground and screamed with a face full of despair. In the comments, Crayon _Shinchan, congratulations on driving one crazy. A _mammoth. Brother, don't cry. Use your random archery to show off. Strike _gold. Don't cry, you can still use a bow to hit people, ha ha ha. Watermelon _taro. Don't you have any sympathy for such a tragic thing? Look at how much our champion is crying, no, how sad. Ye schwer is _cutest. Brother, some things can't be resisted. Keep it up. Start practicing archery today, and become an archery master as soon as possible. Surely the strongest replied to Ye schwer _cutest. Random archery master? Ye schwer _cutest replied to surely the strongest. Are you guys from the Great Dragon Guild trying to stir up trouble? Surely the strongest replied to Ye schwer _cutest. We don't dare, you guys have a random archery master. We're afraid of being shot in the head, laughing emoji. Looking at the comments of the live broadcast, Yi Chen became even sadder. Thinking about how he used to have a simple and violent berserker profession, at this moment, he felt how stupid he was. He did not cherish it and even came to participate in this archery trial. What made him even more disappointed was, he even became the F***King champion. Chapter 46. Liuli District. Cha Na, who was sitting on the throne of bones, looked gloomily at the mountains in the north. His fists were clenched tightly. He had never expected that Du Yen would betray him. What made him even more disappointed was that Du Yen had taken away all of his Yin spirits. Now, he was completely in trouble. First of all, he had already promised the Sea King that he would provide 200,000 Yin spirit. Secondly, his strength was already close to breaking through to the Ghost King realm, and this batch of Yin spirits was one of the keys to his breakthrough. But now, everything was gone. Recalling the news from the messenger he sent, that Du Yen had sought refuge with the Rock Ghost King and offered all of his nether souls, the flames in his eyes rose in an instant. On one side was the Sea King, and on the other side was the Rock Ghost King. Both sides were more powerful than him, and the breakthrough that he was confident about had been stopped. Cha Na did not know what to do next. Lord Cha Na, since Liuli District is in the middle, it's not safe. Why don't we change our camp and hide in the Mansion of the Dead? We can discuss this further after Lord Cha Na breaks through to the Ghost King realm. Hearing those words, Cha Mo was taken aback. But after giving it some thought, he realized that this method was indeed feasible. Although the Mansion of the Dead did not have the resources of Liuli District, it was far away from the underworld sea. He did not believe that the Sea King would chase him all the way from Liuli District to the Mansion of the Dead to ask for 200,000 Yin spirit. But then he frowned. What about the Een Spirit Pool in Liuli district? You can't just reject it, right? The Een Spirit Pool was the birthplace of Een spirits, and it had always been under Duyan's control. The Een spirits that were born in it every year were necessary for Cha Na's cultivation. He was not willing to give it up. Upon hearing this, the Soul Gatherer sighed. Lord Cha Na, look at the situation now. Only when you break through the Ghost King realm can you gain the right to speak in this land of Baki. Otherwise, the next time the Sea King comes and we take out the promised Een souls, the consequences may be terrible. The Soulbringer's analysis caused Cha Ya's eyes to turn gloomy. Finally, he gritted his teeth and said, Pass down the order. Bring all the supplies that can be brought. We'll head to the Mansion of the Dead in 10 days. On the second day after the hidden class sun-chasing archer was released, there were many more NPCs around the Mansion of the Dead. The addition of these NPCs was created by Lu Wu to enrich the gameplay. Two of the most popular were the chubby dark chef and the goateed old man who taught players how to make poisons from various herbs. In particular, the appearance of the fat chef gave many players a taste experience that they did not have in the world of the living. Although there were players who often used poisonous underworld ingredients to make delicacies and were poisoned to death by dark cuisine, this was nothing to many foodies. Some players with heavy tastes would even get the legs of zombie wolves and zombie elephants for the fat chef to cook. It could be said that the appearance of the fat chef was the greatest benefit for foodies. After the appearance of the fat chef, the players had a new hobby, and that was to search for edible ingredients. It didn't matter if they were poisonous or not. Before the 12-hour game time was up, they could use them to cook and eat to their heart's content. Relying on the high degree of realism, eating in the underworld was 100% realistic, which once again captured the hearts of a group of players. Players with a keen sense for business had even started a gourmet livestream. There was a foodie player on the forum who, like Shenong tasting all kinds of herbs, wrote a dark delicacy after experiencing death time and time again. It described the ingredients found in the area near the Mansion of the Dead and how to mix them. The fat chef would be able to make a very delicious dish. However, the most popular NPC among the NPCs was undoubtedly Lu Mo, the village chief of the newbie village. Lu Mo was the first NPC that the players came into contact with. From his words, the players learned that there were so many wonderful things waiting for them to explore in this magnificent and bizarre underworld. It could be said that Lu Mo popularized the ignorance of the players towards this world. Lu Mo's character was very easygoing. He often talked to the players and patiently listened to their troubles. In terms of emotion, he was more like a big brother next door than a fake existence. Therefore, Lu Mo was recognized by the players as the most popular NPC. On this day, Lu Wu received a call from Wu Gui, informing him that the month-long selection had officially ended. Just as all the players expected, Battle Online was far ahead of all the other games in terms of vote. The big dark horse this time was beyond many people's expectations. However, after experiencing the game, this surprise turned into amazement and praise. Even Li Tianxia himself was completely captivated after experiencing Battle Online. He became the vice president of the Avengers, a major force in the game. After the results of the selection were announced, Wu Gui hoped that Lu Wu could start thinking about the theme song of the game and look for him if there were any difficulties. Lu Wu had already considered this point. However, hiring a popular celebrity to sing and the production of the theme song gave him a headache. He had also asked Bailey with hope. However, what he got was Bailey's gaze as if she was looking at an idiot. I only know how to research and develop. I don't know how to sing or compose a song. Lu Wu had no choice but to throw the problem to Wu Gui. Wu Gui did not mind at all and agreed readily. At the same time, he said that he would recommend a few celebrities for him to choose from. As for the theme song of the game, he would also hire a professional master to produce it. As for the expenses, he would naturally not ask Wu Gui to pay for it. Now that the game was on the right track, there were plenty of ways to make money. Recently, Lu Wu planned to open up the fashion function. The existence of fashion would not increase the strength of the players. However, for the sake of aesthetics, he believed that many players who loved to look good would be willing to spend this money. This was also the only item that could be purchased in the game. As the reputation of Battle Online grew in Platform 173, the people in charge of other gaming platforms could not sit still. They used various channels to infiltrate the internal staff of Platform 173 and asked for Lu Wu's contact information. Now, Lu Wu received dozens of calls a day from other gaming platforms, hoping to put Battle Online on their platforms and seek cooperation in promoting the game. Of course, Lu Wu rejected all of them. Of course, Lu Wu did not reject them completely. After all, he had an agreement with Wu Gui. Platform 173 would have the exclusive promotion of Battle Online for 2 months. Wu Gui had helped him a lot. Naturally, he could not go back on his word. As for 2 months later, that would be the moment when Battle Online would become famous. Chapter 47. Baran was an international student from Country D. During his time studying in Chi-Dragon, Baran's biggest hobby was playing games and rock music. Because of this hobby, he formed a rock band with his friends who were studying with him and launched an assault on his rock and roll dream. However, because he came across the game Battle Online by accident, Baran almost forgot that he had a musical dream and was addicted to it all day long. In the game, he was a berserker who had also joined a guild. Every day, he would engage in passionate PvP battles with his guild members in the wild. They would raid dungeons together and explore the mansion of the dead together. This game made him feel like he had a second, real world. Baran was completely addicted to it. On this day, the 12-hour game was over. Baran was kicked out of the game as he was still unsatisfied. Taking off his helmet, Baran smacked his lips and gloomily grumbled a few words about the rubbish research and development. Out of habit, he opened up the game's forums. He wanted to see what kind of weird things had happened in the game today, or if there were any expert posts he could learn from. However, his attention was quickly attracted by the official title that was pinned at the top. Collection of Game Theme Songs. In the underworld, there was such a peaceful and comfortable Pure Land. Under the leadership of the king, thousands of races coexisted in harmony here, living in this peaceful land without dispute. However, there is a fine line between peace and war. When the evil dragon descends, the land of Baiki ushers in its dark hour. Light and darkness rise and fall, and new evil forces appear. The flames of war are once again ignited in this land that has been silent for thousands of years. At this moment, as a descendant of Baiki, polish your long sword, put on your armor, and unleash your passion in the jungle. Carry out justice on the sea. Write your new journey with blood and tears. Requirements for theme songs. 1. The content of the song must be positive and in line with the content of the game. 2. The composer of the song must own all the copyright. Stealing other people's works is strictly prohibited. 3. The final interpretation of this theme song activity belongs to Battle Gaming Company. Award settings. The winner of the theme song can choose one of 2 awards. 1. Soul Coins. 3,000 Soul Coins. 2. 1 million cash. Baran's eyes widened when he saw the theme song solicitation event and the 2 prizes that he had to choose from. He looked at the comments and realized that other players were just as shocked as he was. Invincible_loneliness. I want 3,000 soul coins. I'll pay someone to compose a song. Wait for me with soul coins. Crayon_Shinchan replied to Invincible_loneliness. Tycoon, wouldn't it be a huge loss if your song doesn't win an award? Invincible_loneliness replied to Crayon_Shinchan. I'm not short of money, but I'm afraid that I don't have enough soul coins to spend. Surely_the_strongest. 3,000 soul coins. Oh my God, I'm feeling a little dizzy. I can't take it anymore and my eyes are a little blurry. That's 2.4 million. Give me a hand. Ye swear is the cutest. I choose 3,000 soul coins. Strike gold. I feel like only an idiot would choose 1 million in cash. Everyone is short of soul coins now. Any random sale price would be more than double 1 million. A mammoth. I also know a famous lyricist. I'm going to go out with a few bottles of Moutai. I'm going to do some networking. I want the reward for this event. Watermelon_Taro. This loser can only watch from the sidelines and laugh at the big boss's arguments. After reading the comments for a while, Baron fell silent. He had to admit that this event was too tempting for him. Moreover, he was making a theme song for his favorite game. His rock and roll dream was stirred again. Finally, he took out a notebook from the drawer, picked up a pen, and began to compose. The next morning, in the school's music room, a few of his close friends rushed over after receiving the call. They were shocked to see Baron with dark circles under his eyes. "Brothers, do me a favor," Baron said weakly. Looking at his good friends, who were looking at each other in dismay, Baron handed over the copied music scores to them. "The Phoenix, Immortal Bird. Baron? You wrote it? I heard that you've been addicted to games recently. Why are you involved in music again?" Baron shook his head weakly and told them about the theme song gathering. "How about it? Are you willing to help me?" Looking at Baron's expectant gaze, his friends looked at each other and laughed. After getting his answer, Baron also grinned. A guitarist, a bass player, a drummer, a vocalist, and a rhythm guitarist. After Baron finished resting, the 5 of them gathered in the school's music room again and began to challenge the theme song gathering. "Put on your war paint, put on your war makeup, you are a brick tied to me that's dragging me down, though you're like a boulder dragging me into the abyss. Strike a match, and I'll burn you to the ground. Strike a match, and I'll burn you to the ground. We are the jack-o'-lanterns in July. We're like the jack-o'-lanterns in July, setting fire to the sky, unbridled burning across the sky. Now that the tide is rising, danger is everywhere. We'll rush to the battlefield to kill the enemy. Put on your war paint, put on your war uniform. Silver clouds with gray linings, but I've seen the dawn of victory behind the dark clouds, so we can take the world back from a heart attack. We'll reclaim the city from the lost and ruthless. Then I'll raise you like a phoenix. Then you'll rise like a phoenix from the ashes. Put on your war paint, put on your war makeup." Their ensemble resounded in the music room, attracting the attention of many students who passed by. Listening to the passionate music, they subconsciously stopped in their track. Gradually, they were infected by the sonorous melody, and their blood was boiling in their hearts. The theme song solicitation was naturally initiated by Lu Wu. Before Wu Gui could reply, he thought that he might be able to find a surprise among the players. As the only judge, his workload increased dramatically the day after the theme song solicitation officially began. Looking at the densely packed submissions in his mailbox, Lu Wu's scalp went numb. Glancing at Bailey, who was eating, Lu Wu cast an expectant gaze at her. Bailey responded with a determined gaze and a cheering gesture. Lu Wu, who was on the verge of tears, could only grit his teeth and start filtering. In order to be responsible to the players, Lu Wu would listen to every submission carefully, filter out the unbearable parts, and then compare the songs that he thought were acceptable. After 5 days of painstaking screening, Lu Wu was left with 3 songs in his hands. Lu Wu liked all 3 of them very much. They were Land of Beiki, Who Will Rise and Fall by Invincible Loneliness, Gu Yu, The King Who Wakes Up by Midnight, The Phoenix, Immortal Bird, by Baron. This song is really good. Although he liked all of them very much, there could only be one winner. Lu Wu fell into deep thought. After listening to it several times, Lu Wu finally decided that the winning song would be The Phoenix, Immortal Bird, by Baron. Compared to the other 2, this song was more hot-blooded, and it was very suitable to be used in a war-themed game. After deciding on the winner, Lu Wu replied to Baron's email, informing them of the award and that the reward would be sent to his account after the song was officially released. Next, Lu Wu had to wait for the professional singer that Wu Gui had invited. Chapter 48. At the border of Dragon Nation, at the peak of Tiger's Subdue Mountain. Two figures looked at each other in the clouds. One of them wore a thin green robe and held a green peak sword in his sleeve. He looked proud and indifferent as he looked forward. The other person wore a black robe and held a black long sword that could absorb the clouds in the mountain. A red scabbard hung on his back. Ao Jian, I won. Blood dripped from the wrist of the green robe figure. The hand that held the sword loosened, and the green peak sword fell to the ground. I accidentally killed your father during the battle with him. It's my fault. I understand your desire for revenge, but your talent in swordsmanship is still lacking compared to mine. Even if I give you another 10 or 20 years, you will never be my match. The man in the black robe looked at Ao Jian and said with a complicated expression. Heaven talent? The man in the green robe's calm face gradually revealed a pained expression. He thought of himself practicing swordsmanship hard for revenge, abandoning his wife and daughter, and being obsessed with swordsmanship. But in the end it was all for naught. Ao Jian's heart was filled with unwillingness. He raised his head again with a ferocious expression. He grabbed the green peak sword in his hand and suddenly floated up. Again, green lotus flowers bloomed on the peak, breaking through the clouds, and the sharp blades shot in all directions. Ao Jian, your heart of the sword is not stable. If you continue to fight, you will stray from the path of swordsmanship. As he spoke, the man in the black robe placed his sword horizontally in front of him. A huge sword shadow appeared and shrouded him. No matter how the sword aura outside moved, the inside was as stable as a mountain. Ah! Go to hell! At this moment, Ao Jian's eyes were red, and he had completely fallen into a state of madness. He kept waving his sword, and the demonic nature in his heart kept increasing. Bang! A crisp sound rang out. The sword aura on the peak collapsed as if it had lost its source. The green peak sword also broke at this moment. Ao Jian's figure fell to the ground with a thud and spat out a mouthful of blood. Sigh. Ao Jian, although you are obsessed with swordsmanship, you have completely become a demon now. Repent and abandon your sword. Ao Jian did not reply this time. He just stared at the broken sword with dull eyes, as if his mind had been sucked out. Sigh. Wu Qing let out a long sigh once more. After sheathing the black sword, he turned around and left. The clouds and mist on the peak of the mountain shrouded them once again. Ao Jian was still staring blankly at the long sword like a puppet that had lost its soul. A year later, on the streets of the old town paved with bluestone, Ao Jian's figure reappeared in the drizzle. His figure walked along the small path out of the town, treading on the muddy ground all the way up the mountain. When he arrived at the top of the mountain, Ao Jian looked at the two tombstones that were leaning against each other and were almost covered by weeds from afar. He then turned around and left. He was infatuated with the way of the sword, and the sword was his life. In order to practice the sword, he had lost far, far too much. Even though the death of his wife and daughter had caused him to be in so much pain that he wished he was dead, he had never regretted it. Since he was born as a sword, he was given the name Proud Sword. This was what his father had told him, and he had been working hard for it. However, Ao Jian was completely lost at this moment. His father had been accidentally killed in a battle with Wu Qing, but now, even though he had abandoned everything for the sake of swordsmanship, he was still no match for him. He did not know where he should go next, nor did he know where to pursue the illusory supreme swordsmanship. With confusion and dispiritedness, Ao Jian kept walking, and walking, without direction or goal. He just wanted to find the supreme swordsmanship in his heart. On this day, Ao Jian, who was disheveled, leaned against the corner of the street with a dispirited look. At this moment, two young men walked past him. Hey, did you know that yesterday there was a fight between the Demolition Office and the Guardian Angel in the wild? There was a swordsman who played Battle Maniac who was invincible. His swordsmanship must be a super master in reality. I really want to be his disciple and learn swordsmanship. Upon hearing this, Aojian's cloudy eyes gradually lit up. He suddenly stood up, appeared in front of the young man who spoke, and reached out to grab his arm. A master of swordsmanship? Where is he? Tell me where he is. Ah, you're hurting me. The young man's face was red from the pain, and he slapped Aojian's arm repeatedly. Tell me, where is the master of swordsmanship? Battle online, in the game, his name is Mu Jioga. This was Aojian's first time touching virtual equipment. After clumsily putting on his clothes, he put on the virtual helmet and entered battle online. Looking at the almost real world in front of him, Aojian was shocked. He had lived in a remote ancient town since he was a child and was obsessed with swordsmanship. This was the first time he came across such high-tech equipment. Fortunately, everything like character creation was guided by the game. Following the steps of control, he chose Battle Maniac, who used a sword and officially started the game. Aojian, who had reached the nuance realm in swordsmanship, had a deeper understanding of reality and illusion than other players. He even suspected that everything in front of him was real. However, he only had one goal, and that was to find Mu Jioga and learn from his swordsmanship. He did not kill a single wild monster during the whole process. He just kept asking and searching. After spending half a day, he finally met Mu Jioga of the Demolition Guild. I want to challenge you. This was the first sentence that Aojian said. Looking at the level 0 above Aojian's head, Mu Jioga smiled and shook his head. Come back when your level is higher. You don't dare? You don't deserve to practice swordsmanship. Hearing Mu Jioga's refusal, Aojian shook his head disappointedly and turned to leave. Mu Jioga was also a person who was obsessed with swordsmanship in reality. Hearing Aojian's words, he was furious. It's not up to you to decide whether I'm worthy or not. Arrogant and conceited. If you want to fight, then I'll fight with you. This time, Aojian smiled. He turned around and raised his original long sword. Unlike other players, Mu Jioga also bought a long sword in the shop instead of a large weapon such as a giant sword or an enlarged axe that could greatly increase the strength of a battle maniac. Although there was a 26-level difference between them, Mu Jioga was completely stunned when they started fighting. The swordsmanship and body movement that Aojian displayed were not from any of the schools of swordsmanship that Mu Jioga had encountered before. They were completely invisible, as if he was fighting with a sword, a sharp and murderous sword. In just 3 rounds, Aojian's long sword had stabbed him more than 10 times, but Mu Jioga's sword did not touch Aojian even once. If it were not for his high-level, good attributes and defensive armor, Mu Jioga believed that he would have been defeated. Chapter 49. After a few rounds of fighting, Mu Jioga's face turned pale as a -1 appeared on his head. He could not believe that the swordsmanship that he was so proud of was as vulnerable as a child's play in front of this person. Go to hell. At the last moment, Mu Jioga could not hold on any longer. He stretched out his hand and used the berserker's skill, earth-shattering slash. A fiery red sword blade appeared, forming a crescent arc along the ground and slashed at Aojian. Seeing this scene, Aojian's pupils suddenly shrank. His figure quickly flashed to the side, narrowly avoiding the attack. Woo, there is an inheritance in the spirit summoning palace that is fluctuating. Bailey, who was eating, suddenly said with a serious expression. Lu Wu raised his head and looked at Bailey in confusion. Let's go and have a look. Bailey's consciousness entered the artifact as she spoke. Lu Wu followed suit and entered the artifact. The battle between Mu Jioga and Aojian continued. After knowing that he was no match for Aojian, Mu Jioga could not help but use his skill. His pride did not allow him to fail. However, to his surprise, Ao Jian's sword moved with him. Every time he dodged the skill, he could still use his sword at the critical moment. Facing such a terrifying opponent, Mu Jioge was getting more and more exhausted. Looking at his almost depleted health, Mu Jioge panicked and his swordsmanship became more chaotic. However, Ao Jian's face was still cold. He wielded his sword like it was his arm and kept slashing at Mu Jioge. Ding! You have killed player. Mu Jioge. When the notification appeared, Mu Jioge looked unwilling. He slowly fell to the ground and then turned into black smoke and dissipated. At this moment, Ao Jian was a little shocked. In the battle just now, he realized that Mu Jioge's swordsmanship was too ordinary. It was even unbearable to him. He did not look like a swordsmanship expert at all. Initially, he was extremely disappointed. However, when Mu Jioge performed his skill, he was stunned. This was because he could clearly feel that the surrounding energy was being triggered when Mu Jioge performed his skill, which made him feel a little incredulous. It seemed impossible for a person with such poor swordsmanship to be able to trigger the energy of heaven and earth while waving his sword, but it actually happened. Just when Ao Jian was feeling puzzled, a notification appeared. Then, he felt a majestic power descending on his head. Server announcement. Congratulations to player Ao Jian for comprehending Sword Heart and obtaining a hidden profession, 10 demonic swords. Lu Wu and Bei Li were also shocked to see this. Some hidden classes in the Spirit Summoning Palace could only be triggered under special conditions according to Bei Li's settings. As these heroic spirits still had a part of their consciousness, Bei Li's settings allowed the heroic spirits to choose their own inheritors. Moreover, due to the Heroic Spirit Palace's actual location in the Divine Artifacts space, the heroic spirit could sense players. However, this was the first time a heroic spirit had resonated with a player, triggering the Divine Artifacts setting and activating the legacy. What kind of power is this? Ao Jian was horrified. He could clearly feel a supreme force of sword principle hovering above his head. Feeling the overbearing power, Ao Jian's lips trembled and his face was filled with obsession. This kind of power was something he had never possessed before, but he had pursued the pinnacle of Sword Dao his entire life. Ao Jian slowly reached out his hand, wanting to touch the power on top of his head. At this moment, the power surged into his body. The divine artifact was also activated at the same time, turning all the Sword Dao inheritances into data. At this moment, in front of Ao Jian's eyes, a figure with an old face and carrying 9 spiritual swords slowly appeared. Then, the class interface of 10 paths of demonic sword appeared. 10 demon swords. Profession background. In order to avenge his father's death, Jianzhou focused on comprehending the way of the sword. However, due to the limitations of his talent, he came close to death time and time again. Meanwhile, his enemy's sword arts grew stronger and stronger. His own sword arts could not keep up with his enemy's progress. In such a desperate situation, Jianzhou went into seclusion for 30 years to comprehend the way of the sword. He swore that he would not come out of seclusion until he comprehended a peerless Sword Dao. 30 years later, Jianzhou walked out of the cliffs of desperation. With 9 swords on his back, he killed his nemesis in one move. Swordsman sayings: if one isn't enough, make up for it with a sword. If one isn't enough, make 2. If 2 isn't enough, make 3. I have comprehended the sword for 30 years and created 10 swordsmanship technique. This 10th sword is myself. Class Introduction. Carries 9 spiritual swords that can grow along with the user's level. Comprehend the most profound Sword Dao. Slash the heavens, slash the earth, slash the enemy. Profession weapon. Special profession, no weapons class growth. No attribute bonus and unable to learn any berserker skills, 10 demonic swords. 10 demonic swords. Ao Jian's face was dull as he muttered to himself. No, where did this power go? Where did it go? Come out. Feeling that the power had disappeared after entering his body, Ao Jian roared in dissatisfaction. At this moment, he suddenly turned his head to look behind him, only to find that 9 spiritual swords of different colors were floating behind him. Grow along with the level. Ao Jian looked at the class menu again. He immediately realized something and turned around to run out of the mansion of the dead. Looking at Ao Jian, who was running out, Lu Wu and Bei Li looked at each other in disbelief. They could not believe that the inheritance was obtained by a level 0 player. However, what the two of them did not know was that Ao Jian almost thought that the supreme inheritance had disappeared due to the digitization of the inheritance. After understanding that he could only continue to summon the power of the 10 demonic swords by leveling up, Ao Jian began his journey of leveling up, fighting monsters and comprehending the sword Dao. After comprehending Jian Chao's 10 demonic swords, Ao Jian felt that his chance for revenge had come. That was the real supreme sword Dao. He believed that as long as he could comprehend the power of Jian Chao's sword Dao, Wu Qing would definitely not be his opponent. Moreover, Jian Chao's sword Dao was created for revenge. Moreover, his enemy's talent was also far beyond his own. This experience was very similar to his. Just as Jian Chou had said, since the enemy's talent was far beyond his, he would use 2 or 3 swords. Jian Chao's sword Dao was exactly what he was pursuing. Perhaps Ao Jian did not know that it was precisely because his sword heart was so similar to Jian Chao's that it resonated with Jian Chao's heroic spirit and granted him the lifelong inheritance. It was also at this moment that Ao Jian found his goal in the game. His originally dispirited mentality was swept away, and the almost broken sword heart was once again condensed. Chapter 50. Captain of the Demolition Officers. We need such a strong person, join us. Hoarse voice, Lu Wu asked, then why haven't I seen a cultivator before? Little Li, can I ask you something? Out of curiosity, Lu Wu checked Ao Jian's soul, only to find that his soul was much stronger than the other players. In fact, he had been thinking about this question for a long time. He had been curious about Bei Li's identity for a long time, as she had participated in the research and development of such a terrifying artifact, and even gained the complete trust of the great ancestor. If you don't want to tell me, don't force yourself. I'll wait for you to tell me yourself. What was even more unbelievable to the players was that this person was only at level 4, but he could easily deal with the netherworld creatures that were much stronger than him. Lu Wu heaved a sigh of relief. He was afraid that he would become the target of these cultivators in reality. It would be troublesome if the righteous sects like Kunlun and Shu Mountain joined forces to capture him. Her words made Lu Wu speechless for a while. He even felt that it made sense. Lu Wu was stunned when he heard this. He then smiled and patted Bei Li's little head. Speaking of cultivation, images of cultivation, zombies, Taoism, Buddhism, and immortality appeared in Lu Wu's mind. After all, he was a man who lived on Qidian. Don't think too much. Due to the severe loss of spiritual energy in the world of the living, it's already in the degenerate age. Although there are still cultivators, they are as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. You might not even see one in your lifetime. Wu, actually, it's a good thing for us to have cultivators as players. Crayon_Shinchan. Big boss, this technique is like a cheat. I've watched it carefully 3 times. Every move was predicted. What's more, every slash was aimed at the head, throat, and other parts. This is a real boss. Bei Li suddenly laughed when she heard this. Wu, you underestimate the artifact. It was built by the king of Beiqi's lifetime effort. No matter how hard they investigate, they can only find out that it's a game. They can't find out the existence of the underworld at all. In Lu Wu's plan, he wanted to turn the underworld into a second world for humans. Regardless of age, everyone could find joy in it. Leveling up and killing monsters was just one of the fun things. Did that mean that if he could really do it, Shueli_the_strongest? He's a professional player with great QVQ skills. He really deserves the title of a human-shaped cheat. I want to ride on his coattails. Woo, I will definitely tell you. But you have to believe me. My fate has already been completely tied to yours. Even if the entire 3 realms becomes your enemy, I will never betray you. The spirit sword in his hand kept switching, and he used his movement technique to move around the Netherworld Force's body. Every strike of his sword accurately pierced the Netherworld Force's vital point. Then why would cultivators come to play games? Did they discover something? Lu Wu suddenly thought of a serious problem and could not help but ask. A mammoth, a human-shaped cheat, the deadliest. Soon, a player uploaded a 10-minute video that caused a sensation on the forum. Can you tell me where you came from? Lu Wu asked after taking a deep breath. Hearing this, Lu Wu was stunned. He did not expect this battle artifact to be so domineering. When he thought of his plan to make this game popular all over the world, he could not help but shiver. Lu Wu grinned. After patting Bei Li's little head again, he turned around and walked out of the room. He was going to cook a table of delicious dishes to reward the GM for his hard work every day. Watermelon_Taro, there are more and more masters. He suddenly stood up, his eyes shining brightly. Should we attack and defeat Chana? I can't wait anymore. Bei Li's explanation was that this person must have cultivated in the real world, and his strength was not low. Otherwise, the strength of his soul would not have increased. He would have conquered all of mankind. Hearing Bei Li's words, Lu Wu was stunned. He can cultivate in the real world? After watching the video, all the players were impressed by the player's skills. In the video, a level 4 player was challenging the Netherworld Force in the Ghost Mountains. I was picked up by the King of Beiki, Bei Li said shyly as she pulled at the corner of her clothes. I've never told you this before. You only know that the King of Beiki created the war artifact in order to dominate the entire underworld, but you don't know that as long as you're a player, he'll never be your enemy. Instead, he'll become your strength to develop your power. Because their souls have been marked with the battle artifact's mark. If they betray you, you can recall their souls into the artifact and erase them. This is also a very important part of the King of Beiki's army of the undead, because he wants to ensure that no one dares to betray him. Demolition Officer Captain, this must be the god. I heard from Old Mu that he was brutally defeated by a level 0 smurf. I didn't believe it before, I thought it was a joke. But now I believe it, I'm completely convinced. Bei Li looked at Lu Wu, who was still in his reverie, expressionlessly. A boorish guy. I've been wondering why the berserker would use a long sword as a light weapon. It's obviously not as powerful as a great sword or great axe. But after watching the video of the battle between Mujyoga and this human cheat, I finally understand. A long sword is the strongest weapon, provided that your skills are good enough. Why? Bei Li raised her head curiously. What is it? Ask away. Bei Li was also surprised. The underworld exists, so why can't cultivation exist in reality? Bei Li's eyes dimmed, but she still nodded her head heavily. That's right. From the comments, it could be seen that all the players were shocked by the sword skills of this human cheat. Obviously, this individual's ability was beyond their imagination. Crayon Shinchan replied to Watermelon_Taro. Sit down, Xiao. Wretched development, Cha Na will be finished sooner or later. After Ao Jian changed his class to a hidden class, many players in the forum were discussing the identity of this player and whether his hidden class was strong or not. Have you seen the underworld before? Bei Li looked at Lu Wu as if she was looking at an idiot. What shocked the players was that this level 4 player had 9 shining spiritual swords floating behind him. They looked extremely cool. Why is that? Lu Wu was shocked. The video lasted for 10 minutes. With his powerful individual strength, this level 4 swordsman killed the Netherworld Force alone. After picking up the Netherworld Pearl from the ground, he turned around and walked into the depths of the Ghost Mountains. Heaven-severing sword. After watching this video, I suddenly want to change my greatsword to a long sword. I'm really impressed by this skill, I'm kowtowing. Strike gold. This is the real boss, he must be a class changer of the demonic sword 10 paths. Chapter 51. Guyu was starting to believe it. Those who could survive in such a place were definitely expert. The bald young man nodded. Come with me. Guyu was depressed, but he still asked, Master, do you have any ideas? Guyu, invincible loneliness, opened his arms and enjoyed the wonders of nature in this silent world. The cold air made his cheeks flush red, but there was an indescribable sense of enjoyment in his eyes. Was there really an expert? Guyu was shocked and he could not believe it. Guyu did not think much of it. He still played games as usual and occasionally went out to have fun. Anyway, he felt that he had an endless amount of money at home. It was better to live a carefree life for a while than to live a tiring life. Otherwise, in Guyu's opinion, he might as well stay at home and play Battle Online while collecting some soul coins to strengthen himself. Guyu turned around and glanced at the few members of the team. His face was filled with helplessness. According to his father, he used to be a very ordinary extreme athlete. Back then, a cow beverage company sponsored their team to carry out a wingsuit flying challenge, which was why they came to the Kachito Mountains. I don't deserve to be called an expert, but if your father is Guyuan, then I'm the person you're looking for. Guyu was a little embarrassed after saying this. Although there was nothing wrong with him, his father always expected better from him. He felt that if he were to inherit the family business, the Gu family would fall sooner or later. Yes, my father is Guyuan. He asked me to look for you, Guyu quickly replied. He finally knew why his father liked extreme sports. It turned out that conquering nature was such a sense of achievement. This time, he only took it as a sightseeing trip. Guyu, who was beside him, was completely stunned. His worldview was toppled at this moment. Naturally, he did not believe in extraordinary people or gods. However, he could not resist his father's request and could only obey. You're here. His father was a business tycoon with countless businesses under his control. Chi Ming nodded. I can use the 5 Ghosts fortune spell to bless you and increase your fortune. Under the protection of the 5 Ghosts, your fortune will be very prosperous. No matter how bad you are, it won't be a problem to protect your father's business. For an atheist like Guyu, this method had a great impact on his heart. Guyu turned around the towering stone pillar, and was about to move forward when he was surprised to see a bald man in thin clothes looking at him with a smile on his face. Guyu stepped up to the peak of the mountain and looked down at the mountain range that was already covered by clouds and mist. He let out a long howl of excitement. Your personality is different from your father's. Just as your father said, if you want to inherit the family business, you will have to spend all your savings. As they got closer to the peak of the mountain, Guyu's face lit up with excitement. Even if he did spend money, his biggest expense recently was collecting soul coins in the game. He didn't do anything out of line. Why did she make him sound like a wastrel? Guyu was stunned as he listened. He was starting to believe in this master, but he felt that he should not be so unbearable. 7 successors of the Ghost Luck Path, please lend us your techniques. After he finished speaking, Chi Ming pointed at the ground. Then, a scene that shocked Guyu happened. In order to help his son successfully reach the highest peak, his father spent a lot of money to hire a professional mountaineering team to protect him throughout the journey. At the same time, he also gave him a jade pendant. He said that if he took out the jade pendant when he reached the peak, he would be able to meet the extraordinary person. As the blood in his body continued to drain, Chi Ming's face gradually turned pale. However, his eyes became more determined. The interior of the house was very simple. There was only a wooden bed and 2 wooden chairs. Apart from a few white plants, there was not even a blanket or food. Guyu was stunned. He was very curious about how this person managed to survive in this place. However, when he reached the highest peak, His father met an extraordinary person by chance. According to his father, his current achievements were all because of the extraordinary person's guidance and blessings. Guyu was speechless. Back then, your father interrupted me when I was about to go berserk during my cultivation and saved my life. At that time, I said that I would help him twice. I have helped him the first time, so tell me your second request, Qi Ming said with a smile. Master, do you play battle online as well? Looking at the mountaineering team that had started to set up their tents, Guyu took out an oxygen tank and took a few breaths. He told them that he would go inside and take a look. Guyu was stunned. My father said that I'm too useless. I only know how to play games. He wants you to bless me and see if I can turn back from the wrong path. That's great. I heard that the peak at the Cliffs of Desperation is even higher than this one. It seems that I have to challenge it. Guyu muttered to himself excitedly. To Guyu, who believed in atheism, these words were just like listening to a story. This time, he came all the way to Kachido mountain range and climbed the highest peak because of his father's death order. He had no choice but to come. After following the man for a few hundred meters, a small wooden house appeared in front of Guyu. The man pushed the door open and extended his hand into the house with a smile. Seeing this, Guyu followed him in. Standing at the edge of the cliff at the highest point of the mountain and looking down, the crimson clouds rolled and rolled. The land below was covered in silver. The continuous mountain range was like an entangled snow dragon. The piercingly cold wind collided in the air, tearing the air apart and making a whistling sound like the roar of an angry dragon. Upon hearing this, Qi Ming nodded his head. He carefully looked at Guyu and then nodded his head. However, when 5 almost transparent figures slowly floated out of the black hole, Guyu suddenly widened his eyes. What Guyu did not notice was that at this moment, the jade pendant in his pocket suddenly flashed with brilliance. In a wooden house at the peak of the mountain, a man in tattered clothes who was sitting cross-legged slowly opened his eyes. 5 ghosts' fortune. Qi Ming bit his finger and the blood was sucked into the black hole. The sun rose from the east and dyed the Kachido mountain range red, which was covered in snow all year round. He did not believe that anyone could survive in such a place where the air was thin and the wind was howling. Now, he only felt that his father was either fooled or hallucinating. Guyu was speechless. Are you the master that my father was talking about? Guyu asked doubtfully. The man looked about the same age as him, but Guyu could feel the vicissitudes of life from him. It was a very strange feeling. A rotating black hole slowly appeared on the ground. Gusts of cold air came out from the inside, causing Guyu to shiver uncontrollably. Looking at Guyu, Qi Ming smiled again. All right, let's begin. Now that this debt has been settled, I no longer have any worries in my heart. This is my blessing. Seeing that the man sat down by the bed, Guyu also sat down on a wooden chair beside him. This kind of cold penetrated deep into his bones. Even if he was wearing a thick protective suit, he could not resist it. Chapter 52. At the same time, on the lawn of a golf club, a man in his 50s with a slightly aged face was holding a golf club with a weird expression on his face. After pondering for a while, Qi Ming, who still could not understand, took out a satellite phone from the bedside, installed the battery and dialed a number. All right, I owe you a favor and I can go back to report. You can continue pretending. Looking at Qi Ming, who was still acting dumb, Guyu waved his hand, turned around and walked out of the wooden house. Master, stop fooling me. Are the 5 ghosts you just summoned called ghosts? Do you really think I've never played battle online before? I can kill a dozen of these things a day. After the 5 ghosts appeared, Qi Ming bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood. As the successor of the ghost luck path, he had seen the other 2 types of ghosts in the sect's illustrated handbook other than the fire demon mentioned by Guyu. However, what surprised Qi Ming was how an ordinary person like Guyu knew so much about them. These 5 figures were very familiar to Guyu. I'll look for you after I get out of the mountain in a few days. Help me prepare a set, I need it. Qi Ming hung up the phone after he finished speaking. After his grandfather gave birth to his father, he disappeared with an old man in a black robe. It was said that he went to seek the path of immortality, and there was no news of him since then. Just when everyone thought that he had disappeared, he suddenly appeared one day. Virtual projection equipment? Qi Ming was stunned. I don't know what you're talking about. Although he was very confused, Qi Ming still shook his head calmly. Grandpa, why are you so free to call me? A slightly aged voice came from the satellite phone. After Gu Yu left, Qi Ming was still frowning and thinking hard. Do you know about Battle Online? Qi Ming thought for a while and asked. Master, what class do you play? I've established a guild now. Do you want me to help you level up? Hearing this, Qi Ming frowned. You know about the Netherworld Force and the Iron Zombie? Io, stop pretending with me. Aren't they just 5 ghosts? I've even killed Netherworld warriors, Iron Zombies, and even fire demons. These ghosts are nothing to me. 5 ghosts fortune, my ass. I've killed dozens of them every day, but none of them have dropped anything good. From Gu Yu's point of view, Qi Ming was definitely a player of Battle Online. He was just using the virtual projection technology to fool people. If he had not played this game before, he would have believed it. The bodies of the 5 ghosts became more solid. At this time, Qi Ming pointed at Gu Yu and said, 5 ghosts' wealth. Initially, he thought that after settling everything, he could finally go into closed-door cultivation without any worries and that his state of mind would not be affected. However, he now realized that after Gu Yu's arrival, his state of mind was in turmoil. After that, the man's voice came from the other side of the phone. At that time, his father was already in his twilight years, but his grandfather still maintained his youthful appearance, which really shocked them. About 5 minutes later, the voice appeared again. Grandpa, I've checked. It's a virtual reality game. It's said to be extremely realistic. It was also with the help of this grandfather that he was able to establish this business. It was only now that he knew that his grandfather had really become a legendary martial cultivator. Master, where did you hide your virtual projection equipment? I still don't understand, Qi Ming said. When he suddenly received a call from his grandfather, he initially thought that it was something serious. However, his grandfather actually came out of the mountain to play games. His brain suddenly short-circuited. Looking at the stunned Gu Yu, a trace of confusion flashed in Qi Ming's eyes. However, he did not ask anything. Instead, he turned his head and looked at the black whirlpool again. How can I not know? Do you go to the official forum of Battle Online? Do you know the tycoon who collects soul coins daily, Invincible Loneliness? That's me, Gu Yu said proudly. However, he was too lazy to care about this. Thinking that he could go home and continue playing games, Gu Yu's mood was extremely good. Qi Ming was also stunned. However, he could tell that Gu Yu seemed to have seen the 5 ghosts and even called out their names. Alright, you can go now. My fate with the Gu family ends here. From now on, we're just strangers. Even if you come looking for me again, I won't see you again. Qi Ming's face showed signs of exhaustion. After a while, the phone call went through. Apart from a few rare appearances, he could not find any trace of his grandfather at all. Hearing this, Gu Yu had a strange expression on his face. He stood up and began to search the room. Under Qi Ming's puzzled gaze, Gu Yu searched the room and returned to his original spot. Weren't they just ghosts from the depths of the Ghost Mountains? Compared to wandering souls, they were exactly the same except that their virtual bodies were more solid. It's Battle Online. Don't pretend. I've already made it so clear. Gu Yu's eyes widened. Under normal circumstances, Gu Yu and his team members would have to kill dozens of these ghosts a day. Therefore, Gu Yu was completely dumbfounded. He had no idea what was going on. Seeing this scene, Qi Ming's eyes revealed a gratified smile. With a wave of his hand, the 5 ghosts slowly faded away and the black whirlpool dissipated. This ball of blood floated in the air and split into 5 parts, which flowed into the bodies of the 5 ghosts. Battle online? I'm not sure. Please wait a moment, I'll get someone to check it out. Looking at the white scenery outside, Guyu hummed a tune as he walked. Just as he expected, this master was a Jianghu swindler. He even guessed that there must be a storage space under this master's wooden house to store daily necessities. Otherwise, how could he not eat or drink? What is this battle online? Qi Ming was very curious. He did not know why there was something in the mortal world that could understand the underworld. This must be it, Qi Ming thought. The 5 wandering souls seemed to have received an order. They quickly floated to Gu Yu's side and coiled around him. There was even a transparent tie between them. Seeing that Qi Ming was still confused, Gu Yu grinned and stepped forward to pat Qi Ming's shoulder. Chapter 53. While experiencing the game, Qi Ming understood that leveling up could make him stronger. Therefore, Qi Ming chose to completely enter the human realm this time and stayed under the arrangement of his grandson. In order to verify this, he spent 3 days continuously releasing skills and then comprehending the trajectory of space energy. Qi Ming did not panic when he saw this. He began to deal with roving sword by relying on the speed reduction and toxicity of the turbid erosion. At the same time, the ghost soldier could always appear at the critical moment to block roving sword's fatal blow. Although he had made countless mistakes, he had still managed to summon a Yin soldier that was missing half of its body. Chapter 54. Ao Jian was stunned when he heard Qi Ming mention the swordsmanship he used. "Who are you?" Ao Jian put away his red sword and asked in a deep voice. Qi Ming smiled slightly. "Does it matter who I am? Since we are both cultivators, this netherworld creature." "Impossible, it's mine." Ao Jian interrupted Qi Ming and said coldly. "There's no winner between us, not to mention that I found it first." Ao Jian did not reply this time. The red spiritual sword in his hand turned into spots of spiritual light and recondensed into the form of a red sword on his back. Then, Ao Jian stretched out his hands and waved. The green and blue spiritual swords flew out from his back and were held in his hands. "There's no winner? You're underestimating me." Ao Jian's attitude made Qi Ming feel helpless. As expected of the people from the Ao clan, they all had bad tempers. However, Qi Ming did not intend to give up. It was not easy to encounter a netherworld creature, and he did not want to leave just like that. When they fought again, Qi Ming was shocked to find that the swordsmanship performed by Ao Jian had completely changed. The weapons in his hands were constantly changing and the swordsmanship became more overbearing and tricky. Sometimes it was as violent as a raging fire, and sometimes it was as chilling as ice. It was so unpredictable that Qi Ming could not resist it for a while. Once again, Qi Ming was close to Ao Jian. He wanted to control the ghost soldiers to resist and retreat, but he saw the 9 spiritual swords on Ao Jian's back being pulled out from his back at the same time. With a point of Ao Jian's finger, the swords shot towards him. Qi Ming did not expect the sword manipulation technique at all. The ghost soldiers in front of him were torn apart in an instant, but the spiritual swords did not slow down. The 9 spiritual swords pierced into his body at the same time. The scene in front of him slowly dimmed. Ao Jian just glanced at his fallen body coldly, then turned around and walked towards the netherworld creature in the distance. The 9 spiritual swords that were inserted into his body trembled slightly, then automatically floated back to Ao Jian's back and neatly spread out in a fan shape. Ao Jian did not use his full strength from the beginning of the battle with Qi Ming. Previously, he had been using the Ao family sword technique. However, after knowing that Qi Ming was also a cultivator, he knew that his Ao family sword technique would not be able to do anything to him. Thus, he decisively changed his method of attack and used Jian Chao's 10 demonic swords. Then, he relied on the imperial sword technique to easily kill him. Seeing the power of the 10 demonic swords, although Ao Jian looked calm on the surface, he was extremely excited. He knew that he had not taken the wrong path. This was the true supreme sword principle. As long as he continued to comprehend it, he would eventually achieve great success in the sword principle. Although he had never seen Jian Chou in person, Ao Jian had already regarded him as his master. He was determined to live up to his inheritance and become the strongest swordsman. The reason why he wanted this netherworld creature this time was not only because he wanted to level up, but also because he had gradually understood the importance of soul coins in the game. Even Ao Jian, who looked down on materialistic things, had a thirst for soul coins. This was because the increase in the power of his spirit sword was not only synchronized with his own level, but he could also add various materials to increase the power of his spirit sword. There were many materials available in the auction house, but the prerequisite for purchasing them was having enough soul coins. The price of a netherworld creature was at least 100 soul coins, so Ao Jian could not resist this temptation. Ao Jian was happy, but Qi Ming, who had quit the game, was stunned. "Brat from the Ao family. You've angered me." Qi Ming, who had always been calm and expressionless, was now in a state of turmoil. This was the first time he had met someone who did not give him face and even killed him. The scene of the 9 spirit swords stabbing at him at the same time appeared in his mind, and Qi Ming still had some lingering fear. The sword manipulation technique? This is definitely not the sword technique of the Ao family. Did he really get a certain inheritance in that world? Thinking of this, Qi Ming's heart was burning. If he could get it, why couldn't I? Perhaps Qi Ming did not know that during the battle between him and Ao Jian, a certain inheritance in the spirit summoning palace in the artifact space had also resonated. At the moment when the inheritance was about to descend, he was killed by Ao Jian and quit the game. If Qi Ming knew that his inheritance was interrupted because of Ao Jian, the hatred between the two would be on a different level. It would not be as simple as killing and stealing. At this time, Lu Wu and Bai Li also left God's perspective after Qi Ming's death. Due to the appearance of cultivators, Lu Wu was still quite concerned about Ao Jian. He did not expect to see such a battle while observing Ao Jian. What Lu Wu did not expect was that Qi Ming was also a cultivator. Lu Wu did not know what was going on. Why did these hidden cultivators appear one after another? Did they find out that battle online was different? Lu Wu was a little worried. However, Bai Li made Lu Wu feel at ease about this. First of all, as long as those cultivators had condensed a Yin body in the artifact, they would be marked. Betrayal was equivalent to death. Moreover, the battle online artifact would only be regarded as a game in the world of the living. In any case, they would not be able to find out the existence of the underworld. After hearing Bai Li's explanation, Lu Wu also asked his own question. What if there was someone in the world of the living who could go back and forth between the yin and yang? If that cultivator met a player, then everything would be exposed. You don't have to worry about this. Going back and forth between the yin and yang can only be done by the existence of earth immortals. With the depleted spiritual energy in the world of the living, it is impossible for such a strong person to exist. As for those who used to be earth immortals, they have already left and it is impossible for them to return. Where did they go? Lu Wu was curious. Bai Li pointed at the sky and stuck out her tongue. Lu Wu. By the way, there is another question. If the players encounter a particularly powerful god in the underworld, can the battle online artifact protect their souls from being extracted? Lu Wu's eyes were filled with worry when he mentioned this question. Lu Wu was not worried at all when encountering a person of Du Yan's level. However, after knowing that there was a god in the underworld, he was afraid that those bold players would really go there and test the waters at the edge of death. Wu, do you know what material the battle online artifact is made of? Bai Li did not answer him directly. Instead, she looked at Lu Wu and asked with a serious expression. Lu Wu shook his head. The supreme law of the underworld, reincarnation, is inextricably linked to the battle online artifact. As for the specifics, Wu, I can't tell you yet. However, you have to understand that your worries are unfounded. No matter how powerful a god is, he is only under the law. No one can surpass the supreme law of reincarnation. Lu Wu's heart was in turmoil when he heard the explanation. Many questions emerged in his mind. How could the great ancestor, who was only the king of Beiki, be related to the supreme law of reincarnation? Also, who was Bailey and how did she know all these? However, he had said that he trusted Bailey. Hence, he chose to wait for the day when Bailey would tell him the truth. Chapter 55. After receiving the order, a few giant rhinoceroses came from behind Cha Na's army with heavy steps, carrying a huge war drum. Bailey was about to answer when her expression changed. "Wu, let's go home." The players were obviously hot-tempered. After being slapped, they exploded and cursed at the Soul Gatherer. Seeing this, the Soul Gatherer stepped forward and slapped each of the players. "How dare you be so presumptuous in front of Lord Cha Na? You Dahai, the descendant of the king of Beiki. Follow me. I swear to cut off Cha Na's head." At this time, at the border between Liuli District and the Mansion of the Dead, the roar of the beasts shook the sky. A mighty army of 100,000 was approaching. After being slapped again and being restrained at the same time, the three furious players could not break free and could only continue to curse. However, as they got closer to the Mansion of the Dead, the number of players suddenly decreased. When the Mansion of the Dead appeared in front of them, Cha Na was stunned by the scene in front of him. After receiving the order to attack, thousands of beasts roared. The Yin soldiers riding on the backs of the beasts also showed a bloodthirsty look in their eyes as they roared and charged forward. With the arrival of Christmas, there were a lot fewer players in the game, which was rare. "Cha Na, you bastard! Keep your dogs in check. Don't you know to put a leash on them?" Cha Na nodded and glanced at the Mansion of the Dead. "Let's move forward." The Soul Gatherer beneath the throne bowed to Cha Na and said, "Lord Cha Na, these creatures often appear in Liuli District, but they can't even withstand a single blow. I think they're a tribe that has wandered here from other regions." Facing Cha Na, the three players were not afraid at all and boldly revealed their identities. Roar! Lu Wu originally planned to buy a few new clothes for Bailey, but it seemed that she was not interested at all. Her eyes were always lingering on the snack shop. Looking at the army of players in the distance, Cha Na slowly stood up from the skeleton throne. A big flag with the word Cha written on it was raised behind him. Seeing this, the Soul Gatherer quickly said, "Lord Cha Na, we can't go back to Liuli District anymore. Although this tribe is large in number, they are weak. We will definitely win this battle." "Kill the bastard!" The players behind him shouted in unison. Players often communicated on the forum. Everyone thought that they would look for an opportunity to launch an attack on Cha Na, but they did not expect Cha Na to take the initiative to attack them. The worst thing was that the number of players tonight was obviously not as many as the previous few days. "You dog, you'll die a horrible death. You didn't give birth to a son. Son of AB*TCH, why don't you try hitting me again?" At this moment, Wu Guo raised his battle axe. After dinner, Lu Wu and Bailey were shopping in the mall. Couples could be seen everywhere. "Cha Na is here." Upon receiving Cha Na's order, the Corpse Wolf Cavalry, Corpse Elephant Cavalry, and Rhinoceros Cavalry began to advance once again. Soulbringer's face turned ashen when he heard those words. He turned to look at Cha-Cha, who nodded at him. Then, he raised the scythe in his hand and swung it down, killing all three players. From Cha Na's point of view, since he had moved to the Mansion of the Dead, he would not allow other clans to reside here. Before he broke through to the Ghost King realm, this would be his territory. The descendant of the king of Beiki, Peng Wanli. However, the closer they got to the border between the underworld and the Azure realm, the more confused Cha-Na became. Why were there more and more creatures? Slap, slap, slap. The Soulbringer attacked again with a cold face. Looking at the players' camp in the distance, Cha-Na's face turned gloomy. There are quite a lot of them. If we start a war, my army will suffer unnecessary losses. Christmas, a holiday that originated from the West, had become popular in Chi-Dragon and had become an important holiday. However, compared to the West, Christmas in Chi-Dragon had an indescribable sense of romance. The descendant of the king of Baiki, Gao Dashan. Smoke and dust billowed as the ground trembled under the stampede of Cha-Na's beast cavalry. At this time, the players who were wandering in Liuli District suddenly noticed a mighty black army coming from Liuli District. At the forefront of Cha-Na's army, sitting on the skeleton throne, Cha-Na's eyes were cold. What are those creatures along the way? Why are they here? In the distance, nearly 100,000 players were looking at them from afar. The players had seen the video of the seaside, so they were familiar with Cha-Na. Looking at the figure on the skeleton throne, the 3 players who had been captured were worried. Finally, he ordered a few random players to be captured and brought to him by the Een soldiers. Cha-Na raised his hand high and clenched it tightly. Dong! Dong! The sound of war drums could be heard from behind. I'll ask you again. What race are you and why are you here at the Mansion of the Dead? Lu Wu patted Bei Li's head and pointed to a children's clothing store not far away. It's time to buy some new clothes. The scene of 100,000 troops charging together was shocking. The players who had never seen such a realistic battle were completely stunned by the scene before them. Kill! Of course, the single dogs were excluded. Looking at Bei Li, who was enjoying her ice cream cone, Lu Wu suddenly felt that this holiday was not a good one for him. Hearing the 3 players' replies, Cha-Na was stunned, and a strange expression appeared on his face. More and more players had heard about Cha-Na's attack. They quickly mobilized and formed a temporary army in preparation to defend against the enemy. What's wrong? Lu Wu quickly asked as he realized that something might have happened. Which region did you come from? What race are you? The Soulbringer asked the 3 players after taking a glance at Cha-Na. Walking on the streets at night, many shopping malls were decorated with Christmas trees. The flashing neon lights filled the air with a festive atmosphere. Looking at the players who had turned into a black fog, Cha-Na's face was filled with surprise. He did not say anything and only signaled for the army to continue advancing. At the same time, he ordered them to kill any creatures they encountered along the way. Cha-Na nodded. In his opinion, as long as he killed tens of thousands of them, this race would naturally be scared out of their wits. They would not be able to withstand a single blow. Thus he nodded and said, "Let's fight." The players who had regained their senses heard Wu Gui's roar and their faces were filled with determination. They roared and followed Wu Gui as they charged towards Cha-Na's army. What the F***CK? F***CKU immortal. Brothers, the bastard Cha-Na is here. Are you ready? Wu Gui, who was temporarily appointed as the chief commander, turned around and looked at his brothers behind him. He raised his battle axe and roared with determination. The players who saw this felt their hearts tighten. They quickly ran towards the Mansion of the Dead. At the same time, they shouted in the guild live chat, asking everyone to spread the news, or else the Mansion of the Dead would be destroyed. Chapter 56. After receiving Lu Wu's order, Lu Mo, who was in the Mansion of the Dead, had a look of hatred in his eyes. He dashed toward the battlefield in a flash, and the other NPCs followed his lead. Blood rained down from the sky, dripping onto the faces of the players. Their expressions were blank, as if they had lost something important. Looking at Cha-Na, hatred flashed in Lu Mo's eyes. He then turned to look at the players who came to support him without hesitation, and a sense of warmth flowed through his heart. The players who witnessed this scene were completely infected. Cha-Na finally lost his patience when faced with the endless stream of suicidal players. He took a deep breath and spat out the scorching hellfire. He also remembered the chubby chef, who liked to joke around but had excellent cooking skills. They were all working hard to restore my father's glory. I can't let them down. Just then, a message appeared in Lu Wu's mind. Cha Na's eyes flashed with contempt when he saw Lu Mo and the others. He raised his fist and smashed it forward. Hellfire surged out from the ground and spread forward in a frenzy. Cha Na, you bastard, is here. The war drums sounded again, and blood rained down from the sky. The Een soldiers, who were in a frenzy of killing, roared excitedly at the sky. Lu Mo and the others had been boosted by Lu Wuyong's soul power, and their strength had reached its peak. However, due to the limitations of their foundations, their strength could not compare to Cha Cha's. In other words, they were prepared to die in this battle. Thinking of this, Lu Mo channeled all his strength into his palm and slammed it behind him. At this moment, the hellfire finally broke through the defense line of Lu Mo and the others, igniting them. Even under the burning of the hellfire, their eyes were still filled with hope as they looked at the players. Just like when they were first created, their memories were real. They were once the subordinates of the king of Baiki, and they hated Cha Na as well. Cha Na's heart ached at the increasing number of casualties in his army of 100,000. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore. With a roar, he leaped into the air and transformed into a ferocious muscular giant, charging toward the players. They stood in front of the players and worked together to resist the burning of Cha Na's hellfire, blocking the most fatal attack for the players. The moment the two forces collided, a large number of players and Een soldiers were knocked to the ground, and a bloody massacre ensued. Lu Wu's gaze became firm as he looked at the players who were fighting for their lives. The sacrifice of these familiar characters made the players freeze on the spot. "Let's go!" Lu Mo yelled again. His face, already red from the heat, looked abnormally sinister. This was the first time the players had come into contact with a real battle, and they were unable to adapt to such a tragic environment. However, they were not afraid of death. They knew that the mansion of the dead was behind them, and this was their main base. They fought with their lives on the line. Seeing Cha Cha's appearance, the players went into a frenzy. They all rushed in the direction where Cha Cha had come from. Under the burning of the nether fire, Lu Mo and the others grew weaker and weaker, their soul power almost depleted. "Kill!" Wu Gui simply replied with the word "kill" and rushed forward again. The battle axe in his hand danced continuously, chopping down several Een soldiers. However, the players weren't afraid at all. They followed their allies and attacked in a frenzy. They could still vividly remember Big Brother Lu, who was like an older brother next door, who would tell them stories and talk to them. As more and more of their members fell, the players were pushed back by Cha Na's army. Step by step, they retreated to the center of the mansion of the dead. A huge energy wave spread out, forcing all the incoming players to retreat. "Go! Stay alive and avenge us! Don't forget the skills I taught you! Stay alive! You are the hope of Baiki!" Chu Shi smiled and pushed the last of his strength toward the players. As their comrades fell one after another, the players became more and more bloodthirsty. Their attacks became more violent, and Cha Na's army began to suffer losses. Cha Na's voice echoed in the air. All the Een soldiers were bloodthirsty and rushed toward the players again. "Go! Avenge us!" Fat Chef turned around and pushed the players with all his strength, pushing them back again. As the nether fire spread rapidly, many players were killed and injured. Cha Na's sudden attack was completely out of Lu Wu and Bei Li's expectation. When they arrived, the war had already broken out. And Cha Na roared. As he approached the players, he slammed his giant hand on the ground. Dozens of requests from NPCs popped up in Lu Wu's mind, and he was stunned. Cha Na's expression froze when he saw this scene. This was completely different from what he had expected. Logically, the death of their comrades should have caused the morale of the mutated tribe army to collapse. Why did they become even crazier? Lu Wu and Bei Li, who were observing the battle, looked solemn. The situation was not optimistic for the players. The appearance of these dozens of figures shocked the players. They did not expect the NPCs to come and help at this moment. Cha Na's strength was almost unstoppable. Faced with his crazy massacre, the players encountered an unprecedented challenge. My lord, Fatty Lee requests to join the battle. I'm willing to kill Cha Na to prove the king of Baiki. At this critical moment, dozens of figures appeared. Granted, faced with Cha Na's army, which had almost the same number as their own, the players had a hard time resisting. It could even be considered a one-sided massacre. Boss, there are too many of them. What should we do? Li Tianxia asked Wu Gui loudly after cutting down a Yin soldier. He also remembered the serious and inflexible teacher, Chu Shi, who had guided them diligently. Kill. Leave no one alive. Suddenly, a huge pit was formed on the ground. All the players within the range were shattered by the huge force. Boom, boom, boom. Cha Na sneered when he saw this scene. Just as he had expected, this group of mutated humans were too weak to withstand a single blow. The death fire was extremely overbearing. As long as the players were touched by it, they would be instantly burned into black smoke and be kicked out of the game. In Lumo's memory, these players really existed. They were also the descendants of Baiki. He did not want to let their sacrifice be in vain. Die. He turned his head to look at Cha Na and the others again. This time, the players went completely crazy. Faced with the incoming players, Cha Na hardened his heart and increased the power of the death fire in his mouth again. This made it even more difficult for Lu Mo and the others to resist. Brother Lu, let's fight together. The players were also influenced. They did not want to leave and attacked Cha Na again. My lord, Lu Mo requests to join the battle. I'm willing to kill the traitor Cha Na to prove my father's innocence. You guys go. Looking at the stunned players, Lu Mo turned around and shouted at them with difficulty. My lord, Chu Shi is willing to join the battle. I'm willing to kill Cha Na to prove my father's innocence. Chapter 57. On the homepage forum of Battle Online, a video was posted by a player who died and quit. Our friends are gone. I beg my comrades to come back and fight alongside us. We will avenge them. In the video, Lu Mo and the others used up their last bit of strength to force the players to retreat. In the end, they were burned to ashes by the nether fire. The video completely shocked the players outside. Crayon_Shinchan. I still remember having a heart-to-heart talk with Brother Lu at night. I still remember the good wine he gave me. Rest in peace, brother. I will avenge you. Time is like a song. Rest in peace, brothers. I will avenge you by bathing Cha Na's army in blood. Surely_the_strongest. I was on a date outside. I never thought that something like this would happen. Little soldier Shueli, please return to the team. I want to kill Cha Na for revenge. Foodie_Xiaojia. I'm so mad at the thought of not being able to taste the dark cuisine made by the fat chef anymore. I'm on my way home. Brothers, hang in there. The death of Lu Mo and the others enraged the players. Many of them informed each other and rushed home quickly. At this time, many Battle Online players learned about what happened on Christmas Day from the QQ group created by the guild or from their friends' text messages. The players' anger was completely ignited. In a hotel, a man hurriedly put on his clothes and dashed out of the door under the angry and confused gaze of his girlfriend. In a KTV, a few guys suddenly put down their microphones and bid farewell to their friends with grief and indignation. They rushed home. In a certain bar, a few friends were laughing and drinking. Suddenly, one of their phones rang. After he picked up the phone, his expression became serious. Then, he said a few words to his friends, and they immediately walked out of the bar, hailed a taxi, and rushed home. In a billiard room, one of them read the text message and told his friends about it. They quickly went to the bar to settle the bill and rushed home. Such scenes were happening in many places. One by one, the players appeared in the game. At this moment, they were all summoned by their comrades and joined the battle for revenge. In the Demolition Guild's live chat channel, the roar of the guild leader rang in the ears of the members. "Brothers, I'm right in front. I want you to step over my dead body and charge forward. Kill." In the Avengers Guild's live chat channel, Wu Gui's roar was heard. "Unity is the only way to not wander. Kill with me." In the live chat channel of the Great Dragon Guild, Chun Ziu roared, "For the glory of the King of Baki, for our lost friends, we will die without regrets. Kill." In Invincible Mythology's live chat channel, Invincible Loneliness waved his longsword and looked at Cha Na from afar. He let out an angry roar, "I swear I'll kill Cha Na tonight. I won't rest until he's dead." At this moment, all of the guilds had given up on fighting against each other. They united as one and launched a mad assault on instant. Even Cha Cha was stunned. More and more creatures appeared in front of him, and soon, the number had exceeded 300,000. He did not even know where these creatures had come from. It was as if there was no end to them. Lu Wu was encouraged when he saw the united players. He retrieved the music file that Baran had sent to him from his mailbox and asked Bailey to digitize it and transfer it into the artifact. At the rear of Cha Na's army, the sound of war drums thundered through the air. At that moment, background music started playing in the ears of all the players. "The Phoenix, put on your war paint, put on your battle makeup. You are a brick tied to me that's dragging me down, though you drag me into the abyss like a boulder. Strike a match, and I'll burn you to the ground. Strike a match, and I'll burn you to the ground." Setting fire to the sky, burning unbridled across the sky. Now that the tide is rising, danger is everywhere. We will rush to the battlefield to kill our enemies. Put on your war paint, put on your battle armor. Silver clouds with gray linings, I can see the light of victory behind the dark clouds. So we can take the world back from a heart attack. We will reclaim the city from the lost and ruthless hand. The music resounded throughout the battlefield, overshadowing the beating of the war drums and igniting the passion of the players. Roar! Kill! The two forces collided again. The players turned their anger into strength and unleashed their unparalleled combat power. Being weak was not scary. What was scary was not having the determination to fight to the death. With the help of the background music, the players did not retreat. Instead, they forced Cha Na's army to retreat. The war continued to heat up. Even though Cha Na was personally involved, he felt powerless against such a huge group of players. What scared him even more was that the number of players was still increasing. In this battle, the players gradually overwhelmed Cha Na's army. Night Massacre Squad, follow me and kill. The assassin squad led by Yi Shui flew to the front line of the battle. Following Yi Shui's words, everyone in the squad roared in anger. Huge crimson figures appeared behind them and shrouded them. Huge blood blades were swung, and a blood-red light shot up into the sky. This squad was formed by Yi Shui at a great cost. There were 10 of them, and each of them had killed 10,000 blood essences to become the first batch of players to advance to become cursed apostles. At this moment, they unleashed their immense power. Like a demon god, the Night Massacre Squad killed the Een soldiers and was shocked by Cha Na. Night Massacre, Naraka Realm, you are the descendants of the cursed clan. Cha Na was horrified. He knew how powerful the cursed clan was. Back then, he was part of the army that encircled and annihilated the cursed clan. It was a powerful clan that required the king of Baki to fight personally. He did not expect that these weaklings in front of him had mastered the power of the Naraka realm. The fear in Cha Na's heart spread. However, the death of Lu Mo and the others had completely ignited the anger in the players' hearts. Their hatred was irreconcilable, and it was impossible for them to stop. This hatred could only be cleansed with blood. Roar! Cha Na, you bastard, I want you dead! A berserker broke away from the crowd and dashed toward Cha Na with bloodshot eyes. He swung his huge sword and slashed at Cha Na's leg. He recalled the heart-to-heart talk he had with Lu Mo half a month ago when he broke up with his girlfriend. When he recalled Lu Mo's sincere teachings and smiling face, he was completely enraged. Kill! In the Myth Guild, invincible loneliness threw off his cloak and revealed the runes embedded on his body. He clenched his fists tightly, and as the green gemstone lit up, he suddenly leaped toward Cha Na. Then, the red gemstone lit up, and he gathered all his strength and punched Cha Na's head, causing him to take a small step back. At the same time, a fist mark was left on Cha Na's head. After spending a lot of money to buy soul coins, Guyu had finally gathered all the materials needed to advance to become the first rune master in the game. He had also displayed his formidable strength. At the same time, a figure leaped into the battlefield, attracting the attention of many Yin soldiers. That person carried 9 spiritual swords on his back. As he appeared, the sword chi revolved around him, forming a blade storm, clearing out a vacuum zone. Under the control of Ao Jian, the spiritual swords were like the Grim Reaper's scythe that harvested lives, displaying unparalleled power. Although Ao Jian was indifferent to everything, he knew one thing. Jian Chou was his mentor, and his mentor had been loyal to the king of Beiki all his life. Cha Na was completely stunned by Ao Jian's appearance. He could not help but shout, "Jian Chou's swordsmanship! Isn't he dead?" Chapter 58. However, that was not the end of Cha Na's shock. Several arrows streaked across the sky and landed at the back of Cha Na's army. Suddenly, a dazzling halo burst out and blew up a large number of Yin soldiers. Impossible! Impossible! The power of the Sun Chaser! He's long dead, how is this possible? The reappearance of these familiar abilities sent Cha Na into a state of panic. In his mind, he could not help but recall the few comrades who had once served the king of Beiki with him. They were powerful, but they had died in battle. Roar! Comrades, press forward! We won't stop until we die! Wu Gui roared. Roar! The players roared in unison and collectively took a heavy step forward, causing the ground to tremble. Cha Na's army, which was initially indomitable, was completely suppressed by the rising morale of the players. They were forced into a passive retreat. However, the players were determined to kill Cha Na's army. They formed a 1,000-meter-long defensive line, led by 10 Night Killers, and charged forward together. The mage group began to summon the skeleton army. The densely packed Yin soldiers appeared, making the formation of the players look even bigger. Son of AB***, heal our comrades! Guyu roared in the live chat channel of the Myth Guild. Then, a little white dog leaped up high and unleashed its inherited skill. Green raindrops fell from the sky. Under the baptism of the raindrops, the injured players on the front line stood up with determination. They raised their weapons and joined the battle. This night was destined to be a sleepless night for the players of Battle Online. After the battle lasted for 4 hours, the players had pushed Cha Na's army to the border between the Mansion of the Dead and Liuli City. However, the battle was still ongoing. The players who had died were also watching the battle through the live broadcast on the official website. When the cooldown for resurrection was over, they would quickly join the battle. During the 4-hour battle, the strength displayed by the players' camp terrified the Yin soldiers led by Cha Na. They had never seen such madness and endless strength in their lives. It was as if these creatures were not afraid of death at all. Even if they were to die, they would stab them and bite them. At this point in the battle, more than half of Cha Na's army had been killed or injured. Even Cha Na's face was pale. With such a huge loss, he knew that he would no longer have the right to speak in the land of Beiki. Even if he wanted to retreat now, it was too late. The players had no intention of letting them go. Cha Na had no doubt that even if his army returned to Liuli district, the crazed players would still follow them. He never imagined that the power he had accumulated over the years would be destroyed by these players. In the face of such a desperate situation, Cha Na let out a furious roar and charged into the midst of the players. Cha Na was indeed powerful, but to the players it was nothing. Cha Na, die! Everyone surrounded Cha Na, inflicting damage on him in a frenzy. Even though the damage was negligible, even someone as strong as Cha Na could only hold on for less than half an hour under such a frenzied siege. He retreated to his own camp with a look of horror on his face. His body was riddled with scars, all inflicted by the angry players. As the saying went, ants could bite an elephant to death. Even someone as strong as Cha Ya could not withstand the concentrated damage. Seeing that Cha Na was being forced to retreat, the players roared in excitement once again, causing the ground to tremble. Under such circumstances, Cha Na finally couldn't take it anymore and roared. He roared, "Retreat!" Seeing that Cha Na was about to retreat, the players in the camp surged forward. "Cha Na, you bastard! Go to hell! You will die tonight no matter what! Kill them all! Avenge our fallen brothers! We will not rest until one of us is dead! Brothers, let's go all out! Kill Cha Na's bastard army! Bastard, don't think of leaving since you're here! Kill!" Looking at the fearful soldiers in front of them, the players' blood boiled. Everyone shouted and charged forward while waving their weapons, not giving Cha Na's army a chance to retreat. In all the guild live chat channels, the commanders shouted with all their might, continuously attacking Cha Na's army. The entire battlefront began to move, from the Mansion of the Dead to Liuli district. After relentless pursuit, Cha Na's army was finally pushed to the underworld sea, to the point of no retreat. After 8 hours of fighting, the light of dawn slowly rose from the horizon. The battle lasted for an entire night, and the players' camp had lost more than 400,000 people. Due to resurrection, the players' camp still had more than 200,000 people left. On the other hand, Cha Na's army had suffered more than 80,000 casualties. The remaining soldiers had lost their will to fight and were trapped on the beach of Liuli district, unable to advance or retreat. Brothers, victory is in sight. To honor our fallen friends, let's cut off Cha Na's head. Wu Guo raised his sword and pointed it at Cha Na, issuing the final order to attack. Roar! The players roared in unison, advancing step by step towards the remaining soldiers. Looking at the approaching army of players, Cha Na's heart was filled with regret. If he had another chance, he would never have provoked these crazy creatures. It could be said that Cha Na had also lost the desire to continue fighting. Cha's heart was filled with regret as he recalled how he had thought that killing a portion of them would be enough to intimidate these creatures. Kill! The battle broke out once again, and the players' camp launched their final attack. Amidst the deafening battle cries, the soldiers fell one after another. It was extremely difficult to defend. As more and more soldiers died, Cha Na was in complete despair. He glanced at the sea, then at the densely packed players in front of him with resentment. Then, he leaped towards the sea. "Don't even think of escaping!" Seeing that Cha Na was about to abandon the army and leave by himself, Gu Yu roared. The runes on his body flashed, and he leaped up with all his strength and threw a punch at Cha Na. "Those who stand in my way shall die." Cha Na roared and threw a punch at Gu Yu as well. When the two fists collided, Gu Yu was instantly turned into a cloud of black mist. However, Cha Na's body also paused in the air and fell rapidly. The moment he landed, dozens of figures surrounded him at the same time. 10 shadows of the Night Killers suddenly waved their blood blades and slashed at Cha Na. Beside him, Aojian also made a sword gesture, and 9 spiritual swords charged at Cha Na. "Get lost!" Cha Na's fists danced in the air and defeated several shadows of the Night Killers. However, he still suffered a few attacks, and at the same time, the 9 spiritual swords gouged a bloody wound on his body. At this time, the other players also swarmed toward Cha Na, determined not to let him escape. Cha Na was already exhausted after fighting for the entire night. Facing the swarming players, He could only defend himself with difficulty. He wanted to escape again, but when he leaped up again, 9 annihilation arrows suddenly appeared and pushed him back into the players' encirclement. The players tried their best to trap Cha-Na where he was, so that he could not leave. Feeling his strength constantly draining away, Cha-Na roared in grief and indignation. His body rose from the ground again, and he used all his strength to leap towards the sea. This was his only chance. If he did not succeed, only death awaited him. Looking at Cha-Na leaping high into the air again, the players' eyes widened. They roared in anger, but there was nothing they could do. They had already exhausted all their means. At this moment, Yi Chen, who was not far away, took a deep breath and slowly raised his scorching sun bow. He released all the sun-chasing energy, and a burning energy arrow slowly formed on the bowstring. Looking at Cha-Na's figure, Yi Chen roared and suddenly let go of the bow. This arrow, which contained all the hopes of Yi Chen and the players, pierced through the sky and hit Cha-Na's back. Looking at Cha-Na falling towards the sea again, Yi Chen's eyes revealed a hint of a smile. He muttered to himself, "Fate is too wonderful for words." Chapter 59. This time, Cha-Na could no longer turn the situation around. After fighting for the entire night, the energy in his body had been completely depleted. Other than his exhausted body, he had no other lethal ability to perform. Facing the players who were swarming toward him and even climbing onto his body to attack him, Cha-Na's eyes were filled with indignation. He kept waving his arms like an elephant struggling on its deathbed. The flame of his life was slowly extinguished by the frenzied attacks. Finally, his body fell to the ground with a loud thud. The soul flame in his body was completely extinguished. The white light of a collective leveling up flickered. Roar! Looking at the sun that was gradually rising from the horizon, all the players raised their weapons and roared in unison. After the death of the ghost General Cha-Na in the Christmas Eve battle, the players felt a sense of satisfaction in their hearts. Everyone felt satisfied. In this peaceful world, only battle online could bring them the clash of iron and blood, the most primitive wild impulse. All the players' blood was still boiling. Hundreds of thousands of them roared in excitement, venting the excitement in their hearts. A large number of players rushed toward Yi Chen, lifting him up and throwing him into the air to celebrate. Yi Chen's shot was out of all the players' expectations. It could even be said that no one was optimistic about this shot. Everyone looked down on Yi Chen's archery skills. His archery skills had even become a joke on the official forum many times. However, this time, at this critical moment, Yi Chen's performance made all the players cheer for him. Outside the arena, the players who saw this scene roared together and slammed the table in excitement. "Yi Chen, you're AF * King Genius. I really want to kiss you. You did well. You didn't screw up at this critical moment. I give you full marks for this shot. Wu Gui, Yi Liangchen in a desperate situation, this shot is the best in the entire game." 666. This shot is going to be recorded in the history of this game. It's so cool. I suddenly became a fan of this kid. Damn it, whoever dares to laugh at Yi Chen in the future, don't blame my staff for being merciless. Let's celebrate. Our Beiki army has won. Good job, everyone. After 9 hours of hard work, we've finally won. Cheers. To victory. We're the strongest. At this moment, all the players were in a state of excitement. They roared and roared at the seaside, venting the passion in their hearts. When Lu Wu saw this scene, a smile appeared in his mind. He used his artifact to save this scene. At the same time, a sheepskin book appeared in front of all the players in the game. On the cover of the book, the words "War History Book" were written in large font. The pages slowly flipped open. Christmas Day, December 25, 2318. After 9 hours of bloody battle, the Beiki army finally forced Cha-Na's army to the underworld coast. They killed the traitor, Cha-Na, and achieved an epic victory. This Christmas battle will be recorded in the annals of history. Below this line of text was a picture of all the players raising their weapons and shouting excitedly. Server announcement: all players who participated in the Christmas campaign will receive the epic title, Unswerving Till Death, Until Death epic title. Dedicated to the brave warriors who fought to the death in the Battle of Christmas on December 25, 2318. Title attribute: obtain 2 free trials per day. Looking at the screenshot recorded in the annals of history, the players raised their weapons excitedly again and fell into a cheer. They felt honored and proud because they were part of this epic battle and had been awarded the title of Epic. This was the highest honor that no one else had. In the comments, congratulations everyone, congratulations to yourselves for the epic title. It's so cool. I'm so happy. Although I'm dead, I'm so happy. Thank you all for Christmas, I'll remember this forever. I didn't expect to be able to participate in such a real battle. From fear to perseverance, and then to anger, I fought and killed for this. Thank you to all my comrades who fought alongside me. Thank you all. The Bakey army is the strongest. Let's fight. Our glory will be recorded in the annals of history. Marching forward into the future, Bakey army member Shweli is ready. Marching forward into the future, Bakey army member Wu Guai is ready. Marching forward into the future, Bakey army member Gu Yu is ready. Marching forward into the future, Bakey army member Chen Xiu is ready. Marching forward into the future, Bakey army member Yi Shue is ready. Everyone swore to fight on the forum. They firmly believed that the glory of the Bakey army would not stop here. They also challenged the upcoming 2319, a new chapter in the new war. Then, all the players laughed and joked along the way to the mansion of the dead. At the forefront of the team, the flag of Cha Na's army was torn down. Cha Na's head was hung on it as a souvenir and was brought back to the mansion of the dead. It was hung on the outer wall of the mansion of the dead. Many players began to take photos with Cha Na's head outside the high wall. The photos were uploaded to the forum, showing off their achievements. Today was a joyous day for the players. None of them went to kill monsters, level up, or search for treasures. Instead, they gathered at the center of the mansion of the dead for a celebratory feast. All the players took out the wine, spiritual materials, and food that they had stored and shared it with each other. After the celebratory feast, the players spontaneously gathered outside the mansion of the dead and built a hero's mound for Lu Mo and the others. All the players bowed to these few heroes who had sacrificed their lives. Lu Wu felt sorry for the death of Lu Mo and the others. However, it was also their sacrifice that allowed the players to unleash unparalleled combat power. Although he could recast the souls of Lu Mo and the others, they were gone after all. They would forever lose their memories of the players and become brand new NPCs, no longer the people that the players were familiar with. After thinking for a while, Lu Wu gave up on resurrecting Lu Mo and the others. Instead, he recast their souls and threw them into the game with new identities. Just like the towering tombstones, there was only one of them in the players' hearts. In that case, it would be good to let them stay in the hearts of the players and become a part of their history. Chapter 60. After the end of the Christmas battle, the exhausted players began to quit the game one after another. It was also at this time that an update notice was released on the official website of Battle Online. Update maintenance notice: new expansion pack Stormy Waves added. In the Christmas battle, the Bakey army fought hard and won the final victory, obtaining the ownership of Liuli district. However, there are more terrifying and powerful enemies waiting for the players to challenge in the North Rock. Above the mysterious underworld sea, countless treasures and ancient ruins are waiting for you to conquer and explore. The Rock Ghost King in the north and the Underworld Sea in the east are new challenges. The horn of war has been blown once again. Let us reassemble our armor and set sail in the stormy waves. Update content: 1. Special items added in the shop. Spectre Warship, Spectre Ship with Spectre Warship, Guild exclusive. a weapon specially built for large-scale guilds. It has the ability to devour spiritual materials to evolve. Players can choose their own cultivation method. Spectre Warship's main cultivation branch. Spectre form. The main evolution mode is speed. After the owner chooses this mode as the evolution direction, the Spectre Warship will transform all the spiritual materials it devours into the evolution direction to improve the ship's sailing speed and efficiency. In the later stages, it can evolve into a special sailing ability. Tyrant form. The main evolution mode is hull hardness. After the owner chooses this mode as the evolution direction, the Spectre Warship will transform all the spiritual materials it devours into the evolution direction to improve the hull hardness. In the later stages, it can evolve into special collision skills such as Wrath of the Dragon Horn and Tyrant Body. Disaster form. Special form. With this mode as the cultivation method, the Spectre Warship will obtain the dual evolution direction of Spectre and Tyrant Body. At the same time, there is a chance to obtain primary consciousness in the devouring evolution and master the power of the ocean. Note: please choose the disaster form carefully. In this state, the spiritual materials consumed for the Spectre Warship's evolution will be doubled. Price in the shop: 3,000 soul coins. Spectre ship. Build your own Spectre ship. There are more than 100 cultivation branches waiting for the players to explore. Set sail to the sea. Price: 200 soul coins. 2. Detailed explanation of marine treasures. Son of the sea. Fruit: a mysterious fruit blessed by the sea. It is a priceless epic level treasure. After devouring, one can obtain the blessing of the underworld sea god and obtain a random talent level ability. Evergreen forest. One of the best spiritual materials to evolve a Spectre ship. There is a chance for the ship to comprehend special abilities. Spiritual sea fish. There are millions of spiritual level fish in the Yellow Spring Sea. Consuming a spiritual fish will give you an attribute bonus related to the spiritual fish's grade. Fish level classification. Fish level: useless, normal. Spirit level: sea spirit level, psychic level, sky spirit level, sea spirit level. Note: eating spiritual fish above the sea spirit level has a chance to obtain special abilities. 3. Relic in the ocean above the sea. There were many islands and legacies left behind by powerful sea tribes. Players could explore them on their own. 4. Disaster at the sea. The mysterious Netherworld Sea is filled with countless undercurrents and natural disasters. Please pay attention to your safety while exploring. 5. Add new NPCs such as Weapon Forger, Skill Instructor, and Navigator. This update will be maintained for 12 hours. We apologize for the inconvenience. The players on the forum were in an uproar when they saw this announcement. Shueli _the strongest. Waha! I, Shueli, am finally going to become the Pirate King. Crayon _Shinchan. The Marine headquarters has been established. All the pirates upstairs, come to me. Watermelon _Taro. Isn't the son of the sea a devil fruit? Damn, I seem to have seen a magnificent battle on the sea. I was so excited that I was trembling. However, when I saw that the cheapest Spectre ship cost 200 soul coins, I shrank into a corner and started sobbing uncontrollably. It was so uncomfortable to hold back my curse. Invincible _loneliness. The ship of calamity looks great, smiley face. Also, I'm collecting soul coins without limit. Don't be afraid that I don't have money, I'm afraid that you don't have soul coins. Players with soul coins, please join the group 318815704. Ye _Schwer is the cutest. I'm so sad. I'm in desperate need of soul coins. Why hasn't this bastard game opened a top-up channel? Also, who is the bastard boss of this game? Is he paying the R&D team? Angry, little tiger, look for a rich lady. I want the kind that can buy soul coins for me. Captain of demolition officers. There are so many treasures in the Netherworld Sea. I have a feeling that I'm going to get the inheritance of a hidden class soon. Cultivating _longevity. 7. Oh my, this world is getting more and more interesting. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm going to ask my grandson for money to make me stronger. Ye the most handsome replied to cultivating _longevity. Grandson? How old are you, old man? Cultivating _longevity replied to ye the most handsome. I'm over 120 years old. Ye the most handsome replied to cultivating _longevity. Middle finger. Supervisor of demolition officers. Interesting. Looks like we have one more goal. We, the Demolition Guild, will be number one in both the sea and on land. My back hurts talking. Sea war? I'm a first mate in real life. Looks like it's time for me to show my skills. Surprise. JPG Prandtl. As an explorer, I'm ready to set sail. Also, I want to collect soul coins. I want to build my own ship and start my personal sea adventure. Happy. After the release of the new expansion pack, Terrifying Waves, the players responded strongly. At the same time, they were curious about the Netherworld Sea. Not long after the release of the expansion pack, the price of soul coins fluctuated again. All the major guilds wanted to build a guild-level Spectre warship before others. Under the mass purchase, the price of soul coins began to rise, even to the point where there was a demand but no supply. This was because the players, who were also curious about the sea and had a desire to explore, also wanted to build their own Spectre warship. Hence, they were not willing to sell their soul coins. This led to many complaints in the forum. Hundreds of thousands of players even posted a thread titled, "Rubbish Game, Don't Open the Top-Up Channel." Strong protest. On the top of the forum's main page. The intention was obvious. It was to force Lu Wu to open the top-up channel quickly. However, Lu Wu only glanced at it and continued to peel the apple calmly. He then put the apple in front of Bei Li's mouth and watched her eat it. Top-up? What top-up? That doesn't exist. Get to know about it. Chapter 61. The launch of the new expansion pack made the players excited again. After the maintenance ended, a large number of players poured into the game. As soon as they entered the game, the players' attention was drawn to the new cinematic image associated with the expansion pack. The words "Stormy Waves" appeared in the image in dark blue. Then, the image moved from the Mansion of the Dead to Liuli District and came to the sky above the underworld sea. The image kept moving forward. Seabirds were chirping in the sky, and fish leaped out of the water from time to time, splashing waves. Everything looked beautiful and peaceful. At this moment, the words "Void Ocean" appeared. Then, a giant black warship broke through the words and smashed into the sea, setting off huge waves. As the warship appeared, the sky was filled with lightning and thunder. A hurricane was formed, and countless sea monsters emerged from the sea. They roared at the warship and swarmed toward it. The warship, surrounded by the sea monsters, looked like it would be torn into pieces at any time. Roar! At this moment, a deafening roar came from the hull, covering the roars of the sea monsters. Then, a huge phantom of an 8-clawed monster appeared above the hull. Moira, I'll leave it to you. On the front deck, a man in a black robe waved his hand and pointed at the densely packed sea monsters. The phantom of the giant monster called Moira turned to look at the man in the black robe. Its scarlet eyes blinked as if answering the man. Then, it left the hull and pounced on the sea monsters. The moment Moira came into contact with the sea, a huge whirlpool suddenly appeared on the sea. All the sea monsters around were pulled into it and torn into pieces. After tearing all the sea monsters into pieces, Moira waved its 8 claws and roared at the sky again. Then, its phantom body floated back to the warship and slowly faded away. At this moment, the man in the black robe walked to the edge of the ship and leaned against the railing. He looked at the sea that had been dyed red and smiled. Moira, It's time to eat. As soon as he finished speaking, the scarlet color in the sea faded away visibly. The hull began to shine with a dark red light. The surface of the hull was even faintly wriggling, as if it was not a warship at all, but a living monster. Then, the image slowly dimmed, and a line of introduction data appeared. Moira LV-13 Disaster-Grade Spectre Ship. A top-notch warship, Moira, that was cultivated by feeding it a large amount of blood essence of marine creatures and a large amount of spiritual materials. Attribute Introduction. Hull Hardness LVL-14, Sailing Speed LVL-12. There are 24 levels from lowest to highest. Ability Introduction. Wrath of Moira, Tyrant Strike, Sea Spirit's Blessing, Bloodthirst, Special Passive. Moira's Wrath. Summons the spirit of Moira's warship for 30 minutes, cooldown time, 1 day. Armor Strike. Increase speed by 100% for 1 minute, increase hull hardness by 2 levels, cooldown time, 6 hours. Sea Spirit's Blessing. Under the protection of the sea, sailing speed is increased by 30% for 3 hours. Cooldown time, 1 day. Bloodthirst, Special Passive. Under the captain's training, Moira has obtained a new evolutionary direction. In addition to being able to devour spiritual materials to evolve, he also has the special ability to devour the blood essence of marine creatures to evolve. Overall evaluation. Bloodthirsty evolution disaster level battleship. After that, the data slowly faded, and at the end of the screen, another line of words appeared. Would you like to own a warship that you named and nurtured yourself? Then, the sea is your ideal choice. Seeing this cinematic, the players were once again in an uproar. Lines of bullet screens flashed across the cinematic. Please teach me how to nurture a warship like Moira. I want it so much. What the F***CK? Different cultivation methods will result in different evolved abilities. This is so exciting. What if I nurture a weak warship? To reply to the person above, only a weak warship will be nurtured. My warship must be the strongest. Roar. I'll sell myself to the rich woman for money. I want to nurture a boat. I've already thought of a name for my boat. I'll call it Golden Mary. Shut up, that's my boat. Put it down. Before I gather enough soul coins to build Golden Mary, no one is allowed to use this name. Warning from the staff. I only want Moira. I've been so handsome that I cry. Knock on the table. Do you have enough soul coins? If you don't have soul coins, what are you arguing about? Although I want it too, I cry. I want to nurture a warship with invincible defense. I've even thought of a name. Let's call it Invincible. I've fallen into a fantasy and can't extricate myself. I'm so happy. Looking at the surging waves in the cinematic, I wanted to recite a poem for everyone, but I'm uncultured. Wow, the waves are so big. Good poem, I'll give you 666. See, you're full of water. Shut up. You're even more uncultured. I feel that the price of materials is going to soar. Those who are first in the game, go to the auction house to buy spiritual materials. The price will definitely go up. Hoard a wave of materials. It's time to get rich. Wait for the tycoon to buy them at a high price. Damn, why did you say it out loud? Don't you know how to make a fortune in silence? Angry. We're recruiting for a 10-man team. We're still missing 3 people. Those who have soul coins and good characters, each pay 20 soul coins. Let's set sail first. As for the name of the boat, we can discuss it. Also, the captain is a beauty. The ownership of the boat has to be given to the captain. After watching the cinematic, all the players had a heated discussion about the cultivation method of the Spectre ship and the name it should be given. The launch of the new expansion pack had given the players a brand new experience and made them look forward to the future of the game. The annihilation of Cha Na's army in the Battle of Christmas allowed Lu Wu to earn a lot of soul coins. With enough soul coins, the material room and the equipment warehouse in the Mansion of the Dead were built while they were being maintained. The specter ship that the players saw was naturally the blueprint in the equipment warehouse, which was developed and digitized by the almighty Bailey. It could be said that Lu Wu intended to start the main expedition in the game from both sides at the same time. After all, apart from the Rock Ghost King, the Sea King was another overlord that gave Lu Wu a headache. With the threat of the Sea King, the players were not safe in Liuli District. Therefore, Lu Wu decided to let the players develop in the ocean in advance. When the players were strong enough, the Sea King would no longer be a threat. At the same time, Lu Wu also set up a portal between the Mansion of the Dead and Liuli District for the players to travel back and forth. In the shop, apart from the most important specter ship, there were many new gadgets. For example, fishing gear, bait, and so on. The appearance of such gadgets excited some of the players in the game because they had learned from the official website that the spiritual fish in the underworld sea were good stuff. Because of the appearance of these new gadgets, there was a new type of lifestyle players who made a living with it. Chapter 62. After officially entering the game, all the players walked out of the Mansion of the Dead and flocked to the Underworld Sea. The updated announcement and the description of the Underworld Sea in the expansion pack made the players yearn for the sea. On the official live streaming platform, the number of viewers in one of the live streaming rooms was increasing rapidly, which piqued Lu Wu's curiosity. Build your own raft, become a fisherman, and earn soul coins to buy a boat by carrying bricks. In the live stream rooms, the two players personally taught the players how to build raft. Since most players couldn't afford a specter boat, many of them earnestly studied and observed the process. Fortunately, the majority of the players couldn't afford a specter boat. They sawed trees and made wooden strips of suitable size. In the absence of hemp rope, they used vines to tie the wooden strips tightly. In less than 3 hours, the two players made a simple raft. Seeing the fruits of their labor, the two players smiled. Everyone, the first step of carrying bricks to buy a specter boat is completed. Now let's go to the sea. Then, the two players spent 10 soul coins to buy fishing gear and bait. They pushed the raft toward the underworld sea and paddled it toward the depths of the sea with wooden paddles. In the comments, it's really simple and crude. I feel like this raft will be smashed apart by a wave. Brothers, I wish you a good fishing harvest today. I'm also saving money to buy a specter boat. Let's work hard. I wish you a good fishing harvest and I'll buy a spiritual fish. Actually, compared to using this raft, I think it's better to dive into the sea and catch fish. This way, we don't need to buy fishing gear and we can save some money. Laughing emoji. What if we encounter a sea monster? Scared emoji. I'm also afraid of the deep sea. Moreover, there are sea monsters in the sea. They won't go out without a boat. Amid the cheers of the players, the player paddled toward the sea. About an hour later, the land in the distance became so small that it was almost invisible. The two players finally stopped paddling and took out their fishing gear to start fishing. As time ticked by, the fishing baskets on the players' rafts were already filled with 10 fish. Although the two players were very experienced at sea fishing, their luck wasn't very good. After spending around 2 hours, they hadn't caught a single spiritual fish. At that moment, the fishing rod trembled once more. Player Bamu's face revealed a look of anticipation as he slowly lifted the fishing rod. However, this time, it wasn't as smooth as the previous few times. The fish that bit the hook seemed to be very ferocious. It struggled madly with great strength. Seeing this scene, many of the spectating players realized that they might really be getting lucky this time. On the other hand, Bamu's face was also filled with joy. However, his joy only lasted for a few seconds before he lost his composure. This was because the strength of the fish's struggle was too great. No matter how hard he tried, he could not lift it up, and the wooden raft began to slide rapidly away from the force. "Brother, give me a hand, we've got a big one." Bamu could not take it any more in the face of such an intense struggle and quickly called for help from his companions. Then, the two of them exerted all their strength and held on tightly to the fishing rod. They leaned back and competed with the fish in terms of willpower. Offstage, 2333, the live version of The Old Man and the Sea. You must have caught a shark this time. If you continue to float like this, I'm afraid you won't be able to find your way home, brother. Come on, hold on, it's a ghost ship. Fantasize about the beautiful future, hang in there. Maybe it's a small sea monster, laughing emoji. I bet it's a spiritual fish. In this competition of willpower, it was obvious that Ba Mu and his companions were no match for the fish monster at the bottom of the sea. At that moment, their faces were already red from holding on, and their hands that were holding on to the fishing rod were trembling. Faced with this situation, Ba Mu gritted his teeth and spent 2 soul coins to purchase 2 bottles of endurance potions from the shop. After taking turns to consume the potions, they began to compete again. After drinking the potions, the 2 of them finally felt a little better. However, the competition of strength was not over yet. They continued to float like this, and the land in the distance could no longer be seen. Apart from the directions on the map, the 2 of them were a little confused as to where they were. This protracted battle lasted for more than 5 hours. Many players had finished their meals and returned to find that the 2 of them were still competing with the fish monster. Just as the 2 of them were about to break down and give up, the fishing rod suddenly lost its strength, and the 2 of them almost fell back into the sea. Just as the 2 of them were confused about what was going on, a big red fish leaped out of the sea, splashing waves that sparkled brilliantly in the sunlight, and then fell back into the sea again. The 2 of them quickly pulled on the fishing rod again, and at the same time, their faces were filled with ecstasy. This was because the moment the big fish leaped out of the water, they saw the attributes of the fish. Red fruit fish, sea spirit level. A sea spirit level fish with a docile personality. Consumption can increase random attributes by 10 to 30 points, and there is a small probability of learning the ability of the sea. Note: can be sold in the shop for 200 soul coins. In the comments, what the F***, you're rich, you're rich. What the F***, you guys actually caught a sea spirit level fish. Luckily it's a docile type, or else I'm afraid you guys won't be able to defeat it. Laughing emoji. What the hell is that comment under the attributes? Can it be sold in the shop? If*, King regretted selling my netherworld pearl to the shop so much. You know, the market price is 150 soul coins now. I agree, I didn't know about it before, but it's a big loss to sell it in the shop. I'll pay 250 for this fish, sell it to me. Sell it to me. I'll take it for 300. Sell it to the Myth Guild. Our president's soul coins are useful, but you can buy it with cash, you name the price. Seeing that it was a sea spirit level spiritual fish, the comment section was suddenly in an uproar, and everyone started bidding for it. This made Ba Mu and his partner full of fighting spirit again, and they secretly swore that they must get this red fruit fish. Although it was a docile type, the strength of a sea spirit level red fruit fish was too strong, and it was still very difficult for the 2 of them to deal with it. However, as time passed, the strength of the red fruit fish finally began to weaken, and the speed of the raft's drift slowed down, and the force exerted on the fishing rod also began to decrease. This gave the 2 of them hope, and they quickly began to pull the fishing rod, trying to pull the red fruit fish onto the raft. Just as they expected, other than a few sudden bursts of strength during the pull, the red fruit fish was obviously exhausted, and its resistance was getting weaker and weaker. With victory in sight, a smile appeared on Ba Mu and his partner's faces. However, the moment the red fruit fish was about to be pulled out of the water, a huge black shadow with an area of 1,000 meters suddenly appeared under the raft. Moreover, this huge black shadow quickly floated up on the live broadcast screen, and all the players watching the live broadcast held their breath. The moment the red fruit fish was pulled out of the water, a huge bloody mouth suddenly appeared from the bottom of the water, and it swallowed the red fruit fish and the raft at the same time. The 2 players suddenly lost their balance, and they frantically tried to grab at the surroundings, but they immediately felt a domineering force filling their bodies, and their bodies were instantly torn apart. Chapter 63. Even through the livestream, the players could feel the domineering pressure. It's just a sea spirit. Believe it or not, I can fight with him for 1 round. Crayon Shinchan. Brother, do you want revenge? These 2 brothers are really lucky to have encountered the most powerful creature in the void ocean the first time they went out to sea. It's a pity that they lost their crimson fruit fish and their boat was destroyed. The appearance of this post instantly caused an uproar in the entire forum. All the players were attracted by the post. Holy sh*t. What kind of monster is this? I think it's at least 10,000 meters long. This is 2F** king scary. However, there was only motivation when there was a challenge. Faced with such a strong opponent, the players swore that they would kill him one day and share the flesh of the sea spirit together. Comments. Crayon_Shinchan replied to the most handsome Yi-chin. Brother Yi, you've been too full of yourself lately, laughing emoji. By the way, at everyone, promise me that you won't be a bootlicker, okay? Laughing emoji, watermelon_Taro. I'm in the front row eating watermelons. Also, congratulations brother for successfully fishing up the ocean spirit. At that moment, the players watching the livestream finally saw the true face of the monster. I believe the one above. Will he be eaten in 1 round? Laughing emoji. What the F***ck? I used to fantasize that I would be lucky enough to catch a spiritual fish at the level of the sea spirit and make a fortune. Is this even possible? I'm F***king drunk. Shueli_the_strongest. Is this the OP? Hug me and don't cry, the red fruit fish has already been buried in the stomach of the venomous centipede. Oh my god. I thought I was watching a giant monster disaster movie. These 2 are so lucky. The first was a spirit sea fish, and the second was a top-tier spirit sea realm. Terrifying. Terrifying. Damn, it's huge. This monster is too big. I feel like it could swallow a dozen cha-chas in 1 bite. Soon, a message was posted on the forum, and a group of people gathered around. As the beast dived into the water, a message appeared. Shueli_the_strongest replied to most_handsome_Yi-chin. Of course it can be killed. Our boss Yi-chin is a headwind divine weapon. What's 1 Tao Wu to you? Offstage, Watermelon Taro replied to Bamu. I have saved your live broadcast video. Watch it yourself. Laughing emoji. Video attachment challenge accepted. My infernal battleship has already aimed its main cannon at it. So this is the level of the sea spirit. I'm so scared. Demon Dragon Skeleton, incomplete. The skeleton of the Heaven Spirit level Ocean Beast, Ink Dragon. It can be used to create purple weapons and armor. Crayon Shinchan everyone. Rub the heads of all the dogs upstairs. Laughing emoji. Cultivating Tao to live forever. Really? What a terrifying vicious beast. I reckon that this vicious beast is not far from becoming a god. When he was swallowed, he seemed to have grabbed something. It seems like he obtained something incredible. Everyone, take a look. This is the first time it has appeared. Let's estimate its value. What the F***ck? Don't compare this level of ferocious beast to Chana. It's too fierce. What happened? Where's my spirit sea fish? He is dumbfounded. Even Lu Wu and Bailey were astonished by Tao Wu's appearance. I think the red berry fish must have attracted Tao Wu. Or maybe it was hungry and swallowed these 2 brothers. I can only say that it's extremely lucky. There was a picture at the bottom of the post. A light blue vertebra the length of an arm appeared before the eyes of the players. There was also a screenshot of its attribute. Strike gold. Io, congratulations brother. We've witnessed Tao Wu's magnificence. Handsome. All the players who were watching the live stream were shocked as they stared at the dark screen. Selling it in the shop for 800 soul coins. However, the players' shock was not over yet. 3 hours later, Ba Mu logged into the game at the resurrection point of the Mansion of the Dead. Then, he opened another post in the forum. Tao Wu's size alone gave people great pressure, not to mention its strength that it had yet to show. All the players felt that they were no match for such a powerful king of the ocean. Ba Mu replied to watermelon_taro. I'm asking about the spirit sea fish? Don't *t me. Assassin_Creed replied to the most handsome Yi Chen. Brother Ye's arrow is unstoppable. Tao Wu? Spirit of the ocean? You can shoot the sun down and kick it like a ball. I'm shocked. Details? Unable to identify. A_Mammoth replied to the most handsome Yi Chen. It's worth killing. Brother Yi Chen is the strongest. Ba Mu. I've finished watching the video. What the f***ck? That Tao Wu is too cruel. Give me back my Hongwa fish, sad emoji. The most handsome Yi Chen. Can I kill it with one arrow? I'm scared out of my wits. If I manage to catch this spirit of the ocean, I'm guessing even a battleship of Moira's level will be killed in seconds. Of course we can. Why not? Didn't you see that our two friends managed to catch it? But at a great cost, laughing emoji. This could only be said to be a coincidence among coincidences. This overlord that lived tens of thousands of meters under the sea of the void ocean all year round happened to come to the surface to hunt for food. It even ate 2 players who were fishing it. One could only say that it was extremely lucky. Seeing the content of the video, many players who were not watching the live stream were also shocked. All the players began to discuss the strength of Tao Wu in the forum. Ding. Congratulations, brothers. You've successfully obtained the achievement of Spirit of the Ocean. Congratulations. Congratulations. Invincible_loneliness. Just now, many people in the guild asked me to watch your live stream. They said that there's something good and they wanted me to buy it. Then, I saw that scene when I entered the live stream room. I'm speechless. The head that was just above the water's surface had a diameter of 1,000 meters. In the center of the tiger-like head, there was the word King flashing in red. The part of its body that was above the water's surface was covered with dark brown scales that reflected light. Is this the overlord of the void ocean? The Sea King's direct superior? F***ck, it's too difficult to conquer the sea. Tao Wu, overlord of the void ocean. The top king of the ocean that has ruled the void ocean for tens of thousands of years. Its strength has reached the level of the spirit of the ocean. Oh my God! We've caught the highest level of the spirit of the ocean. Chapter 64. The players were envious and jealous that Ba Mu could obtain such a treasure even after his death. However, the players' enthusiasm to explore the void ocean was also aroused. There was even a saying in the forum, "Do you want a treasure? Let's set sail." Within a few days, there were more than 100 guild-level warships and tens of thousands of small spectre ships. The marine power of the Baiki army was gradually forming a scale. On this day, the official website of Battle Online released another notice that attracted the attention of all the players. The New Year's Eve event notice. To thank the players for their continuous support of the game will launch a special event during the New Year's Eve. Players who perform well during the event will receive special rewards. During the 3-day event, all players will earn 10% more from killing monsters. This event is divided into 3 major events. Event 1, New Year's Eve Fishing Competition, first day. This event will be launched on New Year's Eve. Before the event starts, players can find a navigator at the Liuli coast to sign up for this event. After the event officially starts, any fish caught by the players will receive corresponding points for the event. The players who ranked in the top 1,000 would receive a level 20 red quality weapon or armor that belonged to their class, optional. The top 100 would receive 200 soul coins as a reward, the top 10 would receive 300 soul coins as a reward, the top 3 would receive 500 soul coins as a reward, and the champion would receive 1,000 soul coins as well as the title of New Year's Star. Details of the points for the fish in this event: Ordinary Fish Points, 1 point, Spirit Fish Points, 50 points, Sea Spirit Fish Points, 500 points, Psychic Fish Points, 4,000 points, Sky Spirit Fish Points, 80,000 points, Sea Spirit Fish Points, Advance to Champion. Special Fish Points, 1,080,000 points. The players were very excited when they saw this event. However, when they saw the points for each fish, they could not stay calm anymore. Surely _the strongest. Clench your fist. R&D, come out for a moment. Here's your fishing rod. Show me how to catch a sea spirit Tao Wu. Crayon _Shinchan, covering face. This is too much. Even the sea spirit is included. Who can catch it? I'll eat XX live. Strike gold. I feel that the sea spirit level is already our limit. If we were a team, we would at most be able to deal with the spirit channeling level. But does this sea spirit want us to risk our lives to fish for it? Invincible _loneliness. Oh, that's interesting. On the day of the event, I'll go fishing in my black pearl. Watermelon _Taro replied to Invincible _loneliness. Boss, bring one along. I don't have a ship or a battleship. I'm afraid I won't be able to catch any fish at the beach. Cultivating longevity. I haven't gone fishing for more than 60 years. Hee, I miss it, Soda Water. You guys are finished. I'm going to summon my grandpa who's addicted to fishing. He's a master at fishing. Crayon _Shinchan replied to Soda Water. What the hell? Grandpa is going to go on stage? So awesome! Soda Water replied to Crayon _Shinchan. Not only my grandpa, but my parents also love fishing. Let's all go. Cool. Activity 2. New Year's Day Treasure Hunt Day 2. During the event period, the Mansion of the Dead and Liuli regions will randomly spawn New Year's Day vouchers every 10 minutes. All players are required to search for the vouchers in these two regions during the event period. The vouchers can be exchanged for rewards at the NPC Festival Messenger. The list of rewards is as follows: 1 New Year's Day certificate, 10 health potions, 5 New Year's Day certificates, a random level 30 blue weapon, 20 New Year's Day certificates, a random level 30 red weapon, 50 New Year's Day certificates, a level 50 skill book of this character class, 100 New Year's Day certificates, event title, New Year's Star, or New Year's Star, blue title. Wearing this title can increase the character's movement speed by 10%. 300 New Year's Day certificates. Inherited character class, Ghost Beast. Seeing the second activity, the forum was once again filled with discussions. Strike _gold. I want to ask if the New Year's Day certificates can be traded. This is very important. Invincible _loneliness. If it can be traded, I will collect the New Year's Day certificates on the day of the event. On that day, I will stand beside the event ambassador and accept cash. Crayon _Shinchan. Damn it. Tycoon players, don't even think about being presumptuous. Wait until I gather 300 vouchers and get the inheritance first. Surely _the strongest. I don't think it can be traded. It's time to depend on luck. Surely, don't ask for anything else. I just want the title of New Year's Star. From now on, call me Sister Surely with fast steps. Ye _the most handsome. Can I leave it to fate? Watermelon _Taro replied to ye the most handsome. Please don't leave it to fate. It's too scary. If you do this, our gaming experience will be very bad. Ye _Schwer cutie. You have already changed your character class to Cursed Apostle. Let's just get the title. Activity 3. Great price reduction in the shop, Day 3. On the third day of the New Year's Day event, all items in the shop will be reduced by 10%. This event will last for 1 hour. Players, please make your purchases as soon as possible. These 3 activities were the New Year's Day celebration activities that Lu Wu had created for the players. As for the 3rd activity, it was added by Lu Wu to recover his health. Obviously, he had to spend a lot of money on the players for the first 2 activities. On the 3rd day, due to the 10% discount, there would be a large number of players who would seize the time to purchase items. By then, the expenses would naturally return to him. There was a saying that went, "Wool comes from the sheep's back." As a person who had the highest authority, Lu Wu understood this principle very well. The players were looking forward to the launch of the activity. They were rubbing their palms together and discussing how to show off their skills during the event. The forum was bustling with activity again. Shirley_the_strongest. It's 10% off. Hee, my cute little boat has been built. Strike_gold. I'm looking forward to it. Brothers of the Great Dragon Guild, let's do our best during the event and get the first place. I'm Berserker. The event is quite exciting, but what about the top-up channel that we're looking forward to the most? Who deleted the post written in blood? Come out now, I'll wring your neck. Crayon_Shinchan. Yeah. I suddenly remembered that the top-up channel has not been opened yet. Does this game want to go bankrupt? The boss uses love to generate electricity? Using love to pay wages? A_Mammoth. Brothers, let's create another post. We need to tell them righteously that we are strong. Strong. Want. Beg. Open. Top up. Worth it. Invincible_loneliness. Agreed. How can you become stronger without top-up? It's wrong for your game to do this. It's against the rules of the industry. What would the ancestor of top-up, Elder Ma, think about it? Crayon_Shinchan replied to Invincible_loneliness. I think Elder Ma will crawl out and beat up the boss of Battle Online, telling him that top-up is the way to become stronger. Laughing emoji. Lu Wu read the comments for a while and smiled indifferently. He conveniently deleted the post that had just been created and was being upvoted crazily. Chapter 65. In the depths of the lush forest in the North Rocks, an ancient giant tree was slowly twisting its body. The branches on its body suddenly danced like spiritual snakes. Chana is dead? The new force of the Mansion of the Dead? Is the news reliable? A crack appeared on the ancient tree and a deep voice came from inside. Lord Rock Ghost King, I've investigated and the news is true. Liuli District has also been occupied by these new forces. The Iron Zombie Commander below replied. When we were discussing the division of the territory, we chose to hand over Liuli District to him. I knew that he would be destroyed because of this. However, I didn't expect that he would not be defeated by the Sea King, but by the foreign forces. What a coward! The Rock Ghost King said as he shook his body. The ground suddenly began to shake and the soil under his body was lifted up. Lord Rock Ghost King, should we start a war with the Mansion of the Dead? These outsiders are of unknown origin and are a great threat, the Iron Zombie Commander asked subconsciously. No, as you said, these forces are of unknown origin. It's better not to start a war. Don't let other forces reap the benefit. Then, what if they come to attack? Upon hearing that, the Rock Ghost King burst into laughter. His deafening laughter shook the surrounding trees. He then looked at the Iron Zombie Commander. I'm not Cha-Na. In this land of Bakey, except for that old corpse in the burial ground, who has the confidence to fight against my tree demon army in my territory. As he spoke, the Rock Ghost King seemed to have thought of something and looked at the Iron Zombie Commander again. By the way, what's the situation with the Wood Spirit clan? The Iron Zombie Commander was stunned for a moment and then replied, They are stubborn and still refuse to submit to Lord Rock Ghost King. My patience has run out. I, the Rock Ghost King, have given the Wood Spirit clan a lot of face. However, since they don't want it, I shall exterminate their clan. As the Rock Ghost King spoke, the trees in the entire forest began to twist and wave. Looking from above, it looked like a group of demons were dancing. Before the New Year's event started, the players still chose to level up and fight monsters. After all, there were only a few players who had enough soul coins to build their own specter ship. At this moment, several hundred players had gathered at the entrance of the Ghost Mountains. These players wore grim expressions as they looked at the several dozen figures before them. The dozens of figures that were surrounded all had human appearances and were very handsome. It could be said that they completely met the standards of human beauty. However, the players knew that they were not players from their own faction because they all had light green long hair and dark green eyes. They were obviously outsiders. Wood Spirit Race. A humanoid race that has mastered the way of the Wood Spirit. Adult Wood Spirits have special abilities such as growth, healing, and protection. Wood Spirit Clan? Boss, should we kill them? Asked a man with a staff in his hand. The man who was called the boss didn't reply. Instead, he looked at the members of the Wood Spirit Clan who were surrounded. Hey, what are you doing in the Mansion of the Dead? Don't you know that this is the territory of the Bakey army? The members of the Wood Spirit Clan, who had been resolute and determined to resist to the death, were stunned when they heard this. A handsome man from the Wood Spirit Clan walked out from the team with a longbow on his back. He glanced at the crowd and then looked at the leader of the Demolition Guild, Lu Chai. You said that you are the Bakey army? Nonsense, if I'm not the Bakey army, who else could it be? Lu Chai glared at him. As far as I know, the Bakey army of the Lord King of Bakey has been shattered. Why does the Bakey army still exist? The man from the Wood Spirit Clan looked very surprised. There are millions of descendants of Bakey. How can the Bakey army fall? Lu Chai glared at him again. Tell me, where are you from? What are you doing here? If it weren't for your human form, my brothers and I would have already killed you. Hearing that Lu Chai was about to attack, the man panicked a little. We are the Wood Spirit Clan, a medical clan appointed by the King of Bakey. Appointed by the King of Bakey? Lu Chai was a little confused. Then, the man from the Wood Spirit Clan told them about how his clan was besieged in the North Rocks after the death of the King of Bakey. They refused to submit to the Rock Ghost King's summon and were eventually exterminated. Only a few dozen of them managed to escape. Hearing the description of the man from the Wood Spirit Clan, the players on the scene were stunned. So they are our allies? Could it be that the Rock Ghost King sent them to investigate us? I think it's better to be cautious and kill them. I don't know if they are trustworthy. Let's go and ask the NPCs, they should know. The players of the Demolition Guild started discussing among themselves. Stop arguing. Since you say that you are our allies, I don't believe you. How about this, you come with me and ask the butler of the Mansion of the Dead. If he says that you are, then you can stay in the Mansion of the Dead. If not, then he, the butler of the Mansion of the Dead? The man from the Wood Spirit Clan was stunned again. After being in Bakey for so many years, they had never seen the force in front of them. Moreover, since when did the Mansion of the Dead have a butler? However, the situation was pressing. The man from the Wood Spirit Clan looked at the remaining clansmen with a hint of sadness in his eyes and chose to compromise. Therefore, the weapons of the dozens of clansmen from the Wood Spirit Clan were confiscated by the Demolition Guild and escorted to the center of the Mansion of the Dead. Lu Wu had naturally noticed this and asked Bailey about it. However, Bailey was also very surprised by the existence of the Wood Spirit Clan. In her opinion, the forces that were loyal to the King of Bakey should have been destroyed by the rebel army. She did not expect the Wood Spirit Clan to still exist. I think I know the reason. It must be the uniqueness of the Wood Spirit Clan. Bailey raised her head and said after thinking for a moment. Uniqueness. Yes, the Wood Spirit Clan is different from other combat clans. They are a supportive clan with weak combat power, but they have healing and restoration abilities. Obviously, The Rock Ghost King took this clan away, and wanted to take them in for his own use to improve the combat power of his forces. However, he obviously did not succeed. After Lu Wu knew that the Wood Spirit clan was indeed loyal, he gave a new order to the butler in advance before the arrival of the Demolition Guild and the others. When the Demolition Guild members arrived and saw the butler suddenly looked at the people of the Wood Spirit clan who were surrounded in the middle. You are not dead. The people of the Wood Spirit clan? You are really blessed by the King of Baki. I didn't expect you to escape the siege of the rebel army and survive, the butler said with tears in his eyes. The members of the Wood Spirit clan? At this moment they were dumbfounded. They had no idea who this emotional old man in front of them was. He seems to be very familiar with us. Chapter 66. After asking the butler, the players found out that these Wood Spirit clan members were indeed allies. This made the players let down their guard and initiated a conversation with the Wood Spirit clan. The Wood Spirit clan was curious about these players who claimed to be the descendants of Baki and was happy to communicate with them. However, the more they talked, the more confused they became. The Wood Spirit clan almost thought that they had traveled to the Mansion of the Dead in a parallel dimension. The Mansion of the Dead that the players mentioned was not the Mansion of the Dead that they knew. For example, when the players said that the King of Baki died together with the Black Dragon King, the Wood Spirit clan was confused. They did not even know who the Black Dragon King was, but it sounded like he was very powerful. The Wood Spirit clan was also confused about Lu Mo, the Fat Chef, and the others. The more they talked, the more they doubted themselves. They did not know whether they were fake or the players were fake. However, when they heard that the players united and killed Cha Na after a night of hard work, the Wood Spirit clan had a thought. These people are really good at bragging, they don't even blink. The Wood Spirit clan even suspected that these players would blow their own trumpet if they did not stop them. In their opinion, although Cha Na was weaker than the other Ghost Kings and Ghost Generals, he should not be this weak. However, this doubt turned into shock when they saw Cha Na's head hanging on the wall of the Mansion of the Dead. Only then did they realize that these guys were really strong. Soon, the appearance of the Wood Spirit clan was exposed in the forum. Many curious players came from all directions to see the Wood Spirit clan. The friendliness of the players made the Wood Spirit clan lower their guard, and they began to blend in with the players. However, the girls from the Wood Spirit clan suddenly felt uncomfortable with the players' enthusiasm. They felt that the players who approached them seemed to have ulterior motive. In the forum, Kindred Spirit, what a beautiful and gentle lady from the Wood Spirit clan. A possibility suddenly appeared in my mind. Assassin's Creed replied to everyone in the channel. Impossible, the ladies are very kind, don't even think about hitting on them. Surely the strongest. The guys from the Wood Spirit clan are also very handsome. It's a pity that I have a boyfriend, so I can only look at them. Millennial Cold Iron. I was injured when I leveled up in the Ghost Mountains. Then I met the ladies from the Wood Spirit clan, and they treated my injuries very politely. I feel like I'm in love. Shy, Slime_King_King. Indeed, 2D beauties are the real beauties. My otaku soul is burning. Let me reserve one in advance. Crayon Shinchan. I seem to smell a thick stench of an otaku, laughing emoji. Watermelon_Taro replied to Crayon_Shinchan. You should be the most talkative person in this forum. Crayon Shinchan replied to Watermelon_Taro. Hee laughing emoji. Prandl. I'm taking the Wood Spirit clan ladies out to the sea to watch the sunrise and sunset. We'll enjoy the beautiful sunset together, Crayon_Shinchan replied to Prandl. I suspect that your ellipses are hiding important information. Whatever, I'll report you first. Laughing emoji. Lu Wu welcomed the arrival of the Wood Spirit clan. He asked the butler to arrange an area at the border between the Mansion of the Dead and Lioli as their new territory. In Bei Li's opinion, the Wood Spirit clan was loyal to the King of Baki. Moreover, They had excellent abilities and could play the role of military doctors during battles. They were also very helpful to the players. As for the fact that the Wood Spirit clan had a different understanding of the history of Beiki from the players, Lu Wu asked the butler to find the Wood Spirit clan and bring them all to the Mansion of the Dead. He made them recite the Oath of Allegiance to the artifact prepared by Bailey under the pretext of swearing never to betray the statue of the King of Beiki. After the artifact received the Oath of Allegiance from the Wood Spirit clan, they were directly sent into the artifact to undergo slight modifications in their memories, turning them into new alternative NPCs. As for the so-called Bubble Wood Spirit clan ladies and gentlemen, Lu Wu did not care about them. Anyway, he had set up a contact protection in the game. Unless they were willing, it was impossible to do so. This contact protection setting was suggested by Lu Wu and set up by Bailey. At first, it was set up for the safety of the players. Later, it was added to protect the NPCs. Only when the intimacy level reached 100 could they do intimate things. Lu Wu also used the artifact to put the Wood Spirit clan on the protection list. Unless they were willing, the players could not cross the line. During this period, the Wood Spirit clan quickly integrated into the player community. From their point of view, the players should be a group of combat personnel with special racial talents that the King of Beiki had secretly trained. However, when the players' immortal talents were revealed in front of them for the first time, they were still shocked. This was because even if these creatures were to die, they would be able to recover to their original state within 3 hours. This kind of terrifying ability scared the hell out of them. Only then did they know how these creatures, who claimed to be the descendants of the King of Beiki and also called themselves players, defeated Cha Na. At the same time, they also had the absurd feeling of riding on their coattails. However, the underworld was boundless and full of strange things. After interacting with the players for a long time, the Wood Spirit clan became used to it. At the same time, they relied on their racial talents to become the players' medical aid station. In the beginning, when they encountered players who were poisoned by eating random food or who were seriously injured, they would panic and give emergency treatment to the injured players. However, after interacting with them for a long time and getting used to it, the Wood Spirit clan gradually calmed down, even calmer than the players. When they encountered those who were seriously injured, they would even say a few words that they learned from the players. "Brother, what are you afraid of? You'll still be a man in 3 hours. Your injuries can't be cured. The earlier you die, the earlier you can go online, the better. Hey, brother over there, your injuries are too troublesome. Why don't you die first and free up a bed for the brother who will come later? Brother over there, your injuries look a little scary. Why don't we stop wasting time and let you die first?" The players were stunned by the changes of the Wood Spirit clan. However, the estrangement between them had dissipated because of this, and they even began to call the players brothers. The Wood Spirit clan also had another racial specialty, which was wine. The spiritual wine produced by the Wood Spirit clan tasted mellow and had the effect of restoring HP. Moreover, it was not intoxicating, so it was very popular among the players. There were often players who went to the Wood Spirit clan to gain favor, but in reality, they were just begging for wine. After interacting with the players for a long time, the character of the Wood Spirit clan was gradually influenced. From time to time, they would blurt out some online slang. This change made Lu Wu dumbfounded. Indeed, the environment determined one's character. The Wood Spirit clan was an easygoing and elegant race that stood aloof from worldly affairs. They could not escape the fate of being contaminated when they were thrown into the big vat of dye that was the players. The title of the fourth natural disaster was not just for show. Chapter 67. It was New Year's Eve. Countless players walked out of the Mansion of the Dead and headed to the underworld coast in Liuli district. That was also the place where the event would begin. As night fell, the coast was filled with ships and rafts of all sizes. There were even more people on the shore. All the players were rubbing their fists and waiting for the event to begin. They were ready to sail to the sea and compete with each other. Lu Wu, who was already well prepared, began to take action. He condensed a giant clock above the sea. The event is about to begin. All players, please get ready. Players who leave the coast and enter the sea before the event begins will be disqualified. While the clock was counting down, countless colorful fireworks exploded above the entire coastline, illuminating the sky. Then, the countdown bell rang. Dong, dong, 10, 9, 8, 7, 1. At the end of the countdown, the game notification rang again. The New Year's Day event officially begins. The duration is 6 hours. All the fish caught within this time period will be rewarded with points. The fishing Grand Prix officially begins. Looking at the sky full of fireworks, all the players cheered. Then, they set sail with their companions and advanced toward the direction of the bright moon hanging high above the sea. Many players who didn't have a guild ship or ship started to follow with their small raft. This event greatly stimulated the enthusiasm of the players, because this event didn't require the players to be strong, only how good their luck was. However, since many players had seen Ba Mu's fishing videos, they basically acted in small group. After all, it was difficult for one person to catch a spiritual fish of a higher grade alone. If there were more people, they could take care of each other. As for the players who didn't have a specter ship or a raft, they surrounded the shore and fished. Although the probability of getting a spiritual fish was relatively low, it depended entirely on luck. Perhaps they could still get a generous reward by the shore. The players' New Year's Day event not only attracted all the players, even the Wood Spirit clan came out of curiosity. When they saw the fireworks exploding in the sky and the cheers of the players, they smiled. To them, this was some kind of celebration ceremony for the players. They joined in out of curiosity and watched the players fishing. They even enthusiastically set up a grilled fish stall by the shore and made a grilled fish feast for the players who were fishing for free. After the first player caught a fish, the guild point leaderboard appeared. All players could see the translucent guild point panel hovering in the upper right corner of the screen, displaying their current ranking. There was also an event chat box below the ranking template. It was an area where players could communicate with other participants. About half an hour later, hundreds of guild-level Spectre warships sailed into the void ocean. After entering the area, they dispersed and chose a spot to start fishing. Basically, the scoreboard was changing every second, and the rankings were constantly changing. At this stage, it was impossible to tell who was in first place. At the edge of a cliff on the coastline, a bald man was holding a fishing rod in his right hand and a bottle of Wood Spirit wine, which he had asked for from the Wood Spirit race, in his left hand. From time to time, he would leisurely take a sip of the wine, and at the same time, he would stare at the water surface with bright eyes. Sure, who did not think that he would be able to get into the top few in the fishing Grand Prix. He was a crude person and did not know how to fish. He was also clumsy when it came to fighting monsters. As for participating in the Grand Prix, it was purely because he thought it was fun. Therefore, he did not choose to join a team. Instead, he found a remote cliff alone to look at the moon, enjoy the sea breeze, and fish. As for what he would catch, Sure who was looking forward to it very much. He was looking forward to sending the fish to the shore for his brothers from the Wood Spirit race to make them into delicacies. It was not about the competition points. In his opinion, he was just a salted fish. Ranking and rewards did not exist. What was important was to eat and drink well. Sure who found an excuse for this salted fish mentality. He called himself a life player. Fighting and killing were too bloody. Living a carefree life was the taste of life. Thinking of this, Sure who fished calmly while enjoying the sea breeze. He did not feel nervous at all like the other participants, and he was quite lucky. In less than 2 hours, he had caught 3 fish, 3 sea turtles, and a big lobster. Glancing at the fish basket, Sure who was ready to fish another one and send it to the Wood Spirit Race's barbecue stall. Then, He swung his fishing rod and waited patiently again. At that moment, he heard the sound of an in-game notification. At the same time, a line of red words appeared on the upper right corner of the board. Congratulations to player Sun Chi for fishing up a razor fong fish, sea spirit level. You have gained 500 points and are now ranked second. At the same time as the notification appeared, a picture appeared in the active chat box. A little white dog was happily holding a fish that was even bigger than its body in its mouth. There was even a paragraph below. The dog is really lucky. He actually got a spiritual fish from the sea. Hee, the Myth Guild blesses him. Sure, who calmly swept his gaze over them and continued to admire the moonlight. Congratulations to player Meng Xiaochun for fishing up a blood spirit fish, sea spirit level. You have gained 500 points and your ranking has jumped to third place. Another notification appeared, causing Sure Hu to sigh. He looked at the sea and couldn't help but mutter. Endless European dogs, endless African tears. I curse you Europeans to be single forever. After saying this, Sure Hu felt the fishing rod tremble slightly. Realizing that the fish had taken the bait, he no longer distracted himself and began to pull the fishing rod. Just as he thought, it was easy to lift the rod, so it was obvious that it wasn't anything good. However, after lifting the fishing rod, Sure Hu was dumbfounded. What was this? There was a strange fish with a dragon head and a fish tail hanging on the fishing hook. This stunned him for a while, and then the artifact analyzed it. However, when he saw the attributes that were analyzed, Sure Hu's eyes widened. At the same time, a server announcement was released. Congratulations to player Sure Hu for fishing up a special fish, AOU, Sea Spirit level. You have gained 1,000 points and your ranking has jumped to first place. AOU, Sea Spirit level. According to legend, in ancient times, golden and silver carps wanted to jump over the dragon gate, fly into the clouds, and ascend to the sky to become dragons. However, the heavenly gate closed the moment they jumped over the dragon gate. They could only turn into a fish body with a dragon head, and they were called AOU. The male AOU had golden scales and gourd tails, while the female AOU had silver scales and hibiscus tails. They roamed the sea and played all day long. This fish is a branch of the AOU's descendants, and its bloodline is not pure. Note: this fish's bloodline is not pure. Although it is a special fish, it can be classified as a sea spirit level. The conversion points are still the lowest for special, 1,000 points. Looking at the AOU in his hand, Sure Hu fell into a daze. He accidentally became a lucky king. Can I take back what I said just now? Chapter 68. Right after that, Sure Hu shamelessly sent the screenshot to the event chat. On the coast, countless players sat together, sharing the day's harvest and bragging about what they saw and heard at sea. The coast of Liuli district was in full swing. Everyone was staring at their fishing rods, looking forward to the next spiritual fish. Digested the turtle fish. Obtained 15 free attribute points. The lady from the Wood Spirit clan nodded adorably. She was still a little surprised that such a sea spirit level turtlefish was gone just like that. 5th place. Feng Xiaoxin. Any player who had tasted the spiritual fish would be conquered by its extreme deliciousness. The fishing Grand Prix continued. There were endless announcements, which further stimulated the player's desire for the spiritual fish. Sure Hu was shocked by the extreme taste bud. He glanced at the scoreboard and found that his name was already listed first. The corner of his mouth twitched. Thinking of his curse just now, he suddenly did not know whether to laugh or cry. 2nd place. Sure Hu. In the void ocean, although the shoals of fish increased, there were still sea beasts appearing occasionally. Rubbing his stomach, Lu Wu was already thinking about how to kidnap a few more spiritual fish from the players. 4th place. Sun Chi. A little white dog selling? It was impossible for him to sell. Although he was not very rich in reality, he still had more than a dozen houses for rent. He did not have to worry about food and clothing. Playing games was for fun, so money was not an issue for him. Thus, the first sea spirit level fish was placed on the barbecue stall. Some players even posted a funny photo of fishing the sea monster on the activity chat box. The whole game was filled with joy and harmony during the festival. After posting the photo, who sat down at the barbecue stall and ate while reading the grumpy players' replies in the chat box. Looking at the activity chat box that was still filled with questions about the price, who thought for a while and chuckled. He put the cooked turtlefish that was stuck on a tree branch to his mouth and opened the screenshot. Third place. Yi Jingjing. Even if they could not get the spiritual fish, as long as they could get on the leaderboard, they would at least get an ordinary spiritual fish's worth of equipment and weapons. All the players were eager to be the lucky ones. Although the players were unfamiliar with sea battles, they still enjoyed it, laughing and fooling around. Waves of small sea battles were happening in the void ocean. For a warship like the Spectre warship that had the ability to repair itself, ordinary collisions would not affect it much at all. After the event officially ended, all the ships began to return one after another. As for the Wood Spirit Clan's barbecue stalls along the coast, they were overcrowded and couldn't accommodate any more players. Many smart players also learned from the Wood Spirit Clan and set up barbecue stalls. However, they weren't as enthusiastic as the Wood Spirit Clan. They paid for their services and earned quite a lot of soul coins. Gotcha. However, in this increasingly indifferent society, this kind of sincere and unrestrained feeling in the game made them feel very comfortable and nostalgic. After eating the spiritual fish, who was completely conquered by the taste buds that he couldn't experience in reality. However, after eating a few mouthfuls, whose eyes widened. When they encountered small sea monsters, none of these large guilds were afraid. They directly drove their specter ships and rammed into them. I heard you're looking for it? It tastes pretty good. After eating the whole spiritual fish, Bailey did not feel anything, but Lu Wu's face was flushed. He felt a warm current flowing through his body, making him feel comfortable. He didn't even plan to continue with the seafood feast that he was originally planning to eat. This time, he planned to go to the beach to try his luck. Maybe today would be his lucky day. He felt that he had never eaten such delicious food before. At the same time, he continued to eat and only realized that he had finished eating when he was chewing on a branch. The game notification appeared. Who threw the branch away and exhaled a ball of hot air from his mouth. At this moment, he felt comfortable all over and his desire for the spiritual fish grew stronger. Who was dumbfounded as he looked at the seemingly weak AOU in his hand, which flicked and flicked. The spiritual fish tasted silky and tender. As soon as it entered his mouth, it melted into shreds of meat. The rich fragrance filled his mouth and nose, making him feel as if all the pores on his body were relaxing along with the fragrance. The sea breeze blew gently. Everyone was waiting for the arrival of dawn in a drunken manner in the dark night of New Year's Day. The New Year's fishing competition has ended. The rankings are as follows. If it were them, they would definitely use it to make elixirs or raise it to see if there was a way to cultivate it. Talking loudly, drinking big mouthfuls of wine, talking freely, PK in front of the bonfire under the moonlight, and having everyone cheering for you was a great and enjoyable feeling for them. Missy, this basket of fish is for you. I'm going to continue fishing. Even Lu Wu was addicted to the taste of the spiritual fish, let alone the foodie Bailey. Lu Wu had a deep understanding of this. At this moment, he was observing the internal situation of the game with Bailey while eating the spiritual fish that was thrown into the shop by a silly but cute player. At the same time that who caught the turtle, a lot of messages asking for the price appeared in the activity chat. The Wood Spirit Clan's friends were also shocked by whose actions. He was actually willing to roast the extremely valuable spiritual fish. To them, it was simply a reckless waste of God's gift. Who was still unsatisfied, stood up and looked at the Missy from the Wood Spirit clan. He pointed at the fish basket and said, "The event went very smoothly." When the bell that signaled the end of the event rang in the ears of the players, the rankings stopped changing. First place. Sang Yu He tore off the mask of hypocrisy in reality. Although he looked very vulgar, there was nothing to be afraid of. Soon, the smell of the turtle's meat filled the air along the beach. However, since Sure Who insisted, they didn't say anything else. However, Sure Who ignored them and threw the turtle into the fish basket. Then, he picked up the fish basket and walked toward the beach. In the game, the relationship between them was very complicated. They were comrades who fought side by side, enemies who killed each other when stealing kills, and friends who shared delicious food along the beach. This was the first time that many of them had spent the festival in the game. They enjoyed the atmosphere very much.